I remember when they showed the first screenshots from TNA Impact, and they showed like Samoa Joe and Sting, and I was like, why does this look better than any WWE game? Like, this is their first game.
It kills me because even now, I was talking to my girlfriend about this, like, just probably day before yesterday. I absolutely fucking hate the 2K games. I hate them. And it's all because they control just like shit to me.
Yeah.
Like, for whatever reason, they've got this major hard-on to base the entire, like, battle system, I guess we'll go with for a time being. They have that based around just counters and reversals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a complete fucking shit show that's all it is. And I keep on thinking to myself, I'm like, how is it that Nintendo 64 games had it right? And all these years later, you still can't get your shit together, and you've had the license for, like, God, over a decade now?
I think it's that they focus so much on trying to make it TV realistic that it just sucks so much of the fun out of it. And I remember...
It's weird because the games just recently started looking decent.
Yeah.
Because before that, everybody had the Ken and Barbie doll looking hair.
Mm-hmm.
And they always had this expression as if, like... I don't know. Anytime that you'd see them, they weren't really emoting. So,
yeah,
they just look like that all the time.
Solid
like,
face.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, get these motherfuckers back on their meds. Clearly, something's wrong.
With
so,
the,
I don't know. It's kind of weird, and that it's like every couple iterations that comes out, suddenly there's this. You can tell that they hit, like, a certain milestone, because then they have to start over from scratch with the creator wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly there's, like, way less options, and you're like, oh, cool, I can make nothing.
There's way less options, and they try to introduce new shit, like it's going to be awesome. Like, oh, we have this hair dye tool, and you can, like, go in and, like, change everybody's hair, like pixel by pixel. And watching Vince and Tara try to do that, they were like, this sucks. Like, this fucking sucks. It's horrible.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan. I just keep on hoping for better wrestling games. That's kind of like whenever I told you about God, what the fuck is that development team's name who worked on the N64 games?
Aki?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Man, I was gonna say Team Akai for some reason.
That's pretty close.
But I don't even know if they're still together or not, or if that dev team has just kind of gone their separate ways.
I don't think that they are still around, but if they are, there's no way it's the same team. You know, it's probably like totally different people.
I mean, depending on who all they have on board with it, I'd still roll the dice.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, I've seen certain development teams, like, they go through quite a few of their head people, but you still got the right staff there to kind of usher in, you know, the new blood.
Yeah.
Bad WCW references. And be like, oh, hey, you know, you need to go and make this shit like it used to be, because there's an unfathomable amount of people that want it, and, you know, the dudes who now run AEW are, like, all around my age.
Yeah.
So, obviously, they've grown up playing games and shit, and they'd be down for having something like that, and it'd be a million times better, and an alternative to the WWE product, so why the fuck not?
We can only hope, and I figure now is probably a good time to do an intro. Welcome to the 616 Entertainment Podcast. Friends, neighbors, DanDans alike, my name is Ian. This is episode number 273. That's a lot. To my left is the artist formerly known as Mike Charles.
Fat mama.
And joining us all the way across the fucking world via Skype, we have the legendary AlphaOmegaSin.
Greetings and salutations, one and all, and I don't fucking know why the hell I'm even using that voice. Ignore me.
So, I was like, we started right into that conversation. I was like, I should probably tell him we're recording at some point before he says something horribly incriminating.
Oh no, I'm a very transparent person. I just don't fucking care.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wait, when are we going to start? Like, no, this totally works in.
I feel
we
like
already talked about some cool shit anyway. So
yeah, you do the cold open and you just go right into it. Before we go any further though, am I seeing like a massive PlayStation Vita collection behind you?
Man, massive. We'll use air quotes since it's
that could be the entire collection.
Yeah, so that up at the very, very tippy top, wherever the fuck you can see my finger. For those who are listening at home, use your imaginations, I guess. I've probably got maybe 15 Vita games because, unfortunately, dude, they just don't drop in price. Anytime I go to scoop up any of them, and I'm talking just like the exclusives, they're always like $30-something. I'm like, nah, I'm good on all
That's
that
hard to
shit because
believe.
it's namely just obscure JRPGs that are a dime a dozen and visual novel games.
Or you can get Resistance Burning Skies for like 48 cents. But it's not even worth that.
I don't know, man. I really like the Resistance games on PS3 like a whole lot, but I know that one isn't like those.
No, it sucks.
That's kind of why I'm like, maybe one day. Look, I would drop 48 cents on getting Resistance because the worst thing that can happen is I just burn it.
Yeah,
literally.
That's what it deserves. I love all 3 Resistance games on PS3, and even the PSP one, Retribution, is good. Burning Skies on the Vita, I was like, this is a dream come true. And then it was fucking horrible, but I did get the platinum.
Of course you did. I remember when you read the review for Resistance Burning Skies, your reaction, I thought you, like some celebrity died. You loved.
I pulled it up on my phone, and I just go, oh no. And the artist is like, what happened? And I was like, Resistance sucks.
Dude, I keep hoping that they're going to re-release that trilogy just for like current gen. Just because it's weird because last gen I felt like had all these really good games that still aren't getting any attention or love right now.
Yep.
Like, dude, I can't tell you the amount of times, and like I have a copy over there, and then another one I think like a couple shelves down because I got it on both systems. Have you ever played Shadows of the Damned?
I know of it, and people have told me it's good.
Okay. One, just fucking play the game. But we got like this badass little Triforce trifecta of amazing talent because we got people from we got Suda51 who I've honestly enjoyed everything that motherfucker has made. I got a fucking lollipop chainsaw cardboard cutout sitting off to the right.
Fantastic.
But we got the music composer from Silent Hill, who the name always escapes me, so fuck it. And then we got the one dude from the Resident Evil series. And it's just, like, it's a funny-ass game that doesn't take itself super serious. It's, like, kind of pseudo-dark comedy.
Yeah.
And controls, like, RE4. Dude, all about this shit, and it costs, like, absolutely nothing. And I'm just like, please re-release this and give it some love because it's way too good of a game for people to overlook. And that's something this gen has kind of been doing good about, is just, like, giving games a second chance.
It's officially on my list now. I have a million games like that. I wish more people had played I Am Setsuna. I wish more people had played Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Just so many games that escape so many people that drive me fucking nuts. And I bring them up.
See, those are the games that I'd like to talk about just because it's like, you know, how many times can you hear about the fucking games out there that sell tens of millions of copies and everybody knows? Like, yes, I know it's basically inescapable and everybody's making videos about it and everybody's playing it and basically talking their fucking junk to. But you're also ignoring this myriad of titles that most certainly deserve your attention and love. And then they'll be like super discounted and people are like, oh, well, it's cheap now, so I guess it must be a real shit game. Like, no, they're just desperate to get anybody to fucking buy it at this point because it's been like an entire month, and that's like the death rattle if your game hasn't already sold like 1 million copies, which hurts.
There's been a few times that you have said like, oh, that's the stuff that I wish I could talk about. Let's get into that. You have a massive following on YouTube. Like, what do you mean you wish you could talk about this shit?
I mean, okay, so it really boils more down to how YouTube itself functions and works. Yeah. And you being a content creator will be able to completely understand this. I've actually sat down and for several months straight had these little classes and interviews and shit with people at Google. So I got to have like all of this insight and knowledge and understanding into how the site functions. And basically, let's say, for example, if your channel is about, video games, so then you decide to go and make a video about wrestling, which I'm just going to use myself as an example. So if all the videos do like 50 to 100,000 because it's about video games and everybody's just used to that and that's why they're there, and you do one about wrestling, which I have done that on my channel, you are probably going to end up getting around 20 to 30,000. So now you have an underperforming video according to YouTube. Now, since you have an underperforming video, suddenly they don't want to send out your videos to everybody now nearly as much. So the next video you put out will be gaming related, and all of a sudden there's these fluctuations in views because you're still trying to go and support this concept and idea, and to them they just see video views up, then down, up, then down. And because of that, your channel, the main content, begins to suffer because they just go according to a really shitty and ridiculous algorithm that's all automated. And they're just like, okay, well, not everybody's watching it, so they try to average this out.
Yeah.
And to me, it doesn't make any sense. To many other people, it doesn't make any sense. If you subscribe, obviously you want notifications, and everybody gets to pick and choose what the fuck they're going to watch.
Yeah.
But that's not how YouTube functions, and that's where you end up running into this issue. It's like, well, if I go and do that, it's going to hinder everything that I want to do. So you have to debate, do I just start an entirely separate channel for something like that? But then you're starting from scratch, and everybody hates doing that after you've already worked your ass off.
Yeah.
So that's it. I'm sorry I rattled off so much fucking stuff there, but...
No, dude, that's super, like, insightful information. And I think, like, because anytime that I see your name pop up, a lot of the comments that I'm seeing are just like, where did he go? Like, what happened? Is the algorithm issue mostly what you were just like, okay, this is getting my fucking nerves, so you just opted out?
Honestly, it was a whole lot of things. I mean, mainly personal. I've even talked about, like, on my channel on social media here, meetingly, I had several deaths occur that hit pretty close to home. And within a year and a half now, it's been a total of 3.
Jesus.
As a matter of fact, one of them just happened recently where it was my little cousin. He ended up overdosing on purpose. He killed himself. So, talking to my aunt through all that, because my uncle, he had passed away just a couple years before that, and then talking to my sister about that, and it's just really, really big thing, obviously.
Yeah.
And, before that, grandfather, and then before that was a friend. And, depression sucks.
Yeah,
like, no
of course.
matter which way you go and write it and you discuss it and everything, it just sucks. And, manic depression is, like, several steps beyond that. And, unfortunately, depression does actually run in my family. And it's just one of those things where I was just trying to go and cope and deal with that. And if you weren't feeling 100% and try to put your ass in front of the camera, it's going to show.
Doesn't work.
Actually. Because of, and not even just that, years ago when I went to college, I went for film and video editing, and I never finished at all because I was paying directly out of my own pocket. I couldn't get any loans, I couldn't get any grants or anything like that, so it was just me doing that. But I was trying to go to school full-time and work full-time, so now I went back and was trying to go and do like online courses and classes and shit to try to like finally finish some of that stuff up, and that's extremely exhausting and taxing. And it was even looking into trying to develop games and stuff, but I was just doing that on the side, which is really, really, really difficult. I got as far as making a shitty 2D side scroller that looked like crap because I can't draw. I had to use just like pre-existing assets and trying to go and animate the individual limbs that I had to go into Photoshop and like cut things apart. But anyway, there was that, and naturally, like I think a lot of people just deal with burnout, because it's like you've been doing it for so long, and then I've been wanting to come back. Like I even wanted to come back in October, and I had all this stuff made. Like no shit, it's actually still made on there, and I just didn't think it was good enough, and I want everything to be super good. I want to make even better stuff than I did before, and to me, if it didn't turn out to be like the best possible shit that I could ever possibly produce, then I felt like I was doing a disservice to everybody who ever watched, and I'm just trying to like make shit the best I possibly can. But that's why I'm like, no, this is the month that's going to happen. Yeah. Thankfully. So I got like shit in the pipeline. Plus E3's right around the corner, so it's always fun.
So that shows us that it wasn't algorithm bullshit that drove you away. It was real life stuff. And sometimes you have to fucking just stop and focus on actual real life. Mm-hmm. You know, we can all make a video about, dude, fuck EA. But when there's real things going on, it's like, okay, I'm going to pause this for a second. But...
Man, it's weird because like I've heard so many fucking people like either making up shit or talking shit or whatever, and it's always just kind of awkward because it's like, do you go and give the people who are saying that attention and try to be like, oh no, this isn't what's happening, but then the people who were talking shit were just name dropping you because they wanted that attention. Mm-hmm. They want to stir the pot. They want to cause drama. And I mean, if they know that they're making the shit up and they're just trying to, piggyback off of views and shit, is it really worth your time?
Yeah, exactly.
If people want to buy into it, I can't fucking do shit about it. It's, it's literally whatever. All I can do is just focus on life, and that's about it. And despite, like, all the sad, depressing shit, it's like, a lot of positive things came from it. Like, I'm engaged now.
Congratulations.
I'm well on my way into, not even just learning about all this new shit that I didn't before. I became like a lot better at editing and writing and filming and shit, and that's been a cool little learning experience. And you also connect with your family and friends a whole lot better during like trying times. Mm-hmm. So when chips are down, be there for people.
So with the new skills and whatnot that you've picked up, are we going to see like a different style to the videos or just a couple extra bells and whistles? What are we looking at?
Man, like, like you, for example, you've got this documentary damn near style down in such a way that I appreciate. And it's like your type of videos, and like there's all these other channels that I watch that I appreciate what they make. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's extremely fucking cool. And I'm like, I've been dying to go and make like in-depth reviews or just discuss things like, I don't know, like, one thing that I'm currently making right now is Resident Evil games people have never heard about or completely forgot about.
Nice.
And most people will be like, oh yeah, I know what you're going to mention. And I've looked online and nobody's fucking talked about these. So that's why I was like, I think this will actually be interesting. Or like Final Fantasy bosses, or just like really cool video game soundtracks, and just like shit like that.
Yeah. I think it's weird how if you're going to get into YouTube, I feel like someone might give the advice like, don't do something super specific because it'll be hard to find. But I'm kind of finding like, no, do super specific shit, and then as soon as someone in that super specific group finds it, then you've got this whole audience.
Because then like with the Mortal Kombat stuff, mm-hmm. that there's a hardcore fan base of that.
Yeah.
Well, that also was good timing too.
That was 100% good timing.
Like, you figure Mortal Kombat stuff is constantly being searched. Mm-hmm. So if anybody, we'll say for example, like, we grew up playing Mortal Kombat, okay? That's great, but now there's some kid who like might be like 13, and he's like, oh, Mortal Kombat's really cool. I don't know shit about the older ones because I'm not ancient like these other people.
Yeah.
And they go and stumble across a video like yours, so they get to see everything from start to finish all the way up until current, and they get this in-depth analysis about it. And that's not even including all the people who are just kind of nostalgic. Mm-hmm. Like me, I really like the series, but I kind of fell off around the PS2, Xbox, GameCube era.
Yeah.
And that's stuff that I've always had this like extreme fascination with because I don't know a whole lot about it. Granted, I've dabbled, but I don't know it the back of my hand like I do the rest of it.
Yeah.
And, the WCW shit that you did, that's something nobody was doing. So you got to corner our market because no one's talking about it. And it's a gamble. Like, it's 100% a gamble because you talk about it, but if nobody else is talking about it, there just might not be any interest despite all the effort and stuff that you put into it. But turned out that wasn't true.
Yeah, it's done like better than I thought it would. And what's funny is after the SmackDown one, because the SmackDown one was before like Mortal Kombat kind of blew up the channel, and I remember I put out the first one, and in the first day it got like 700 views, which was more than anything that else on our channel had. So over time it got like 3,000 views, and I was like, wow, this is something. Like 3,000 views. So then I did that one. After the Mortal Kombat one blew up, all these people went back and watched the SmackDown one. And then it was like, okay, fuck, I already like decided I'm going to do WCW. In my head, I'm thinking like, okay, we'll get this little one. This little WCW one out of the way. But then, like, actually a bunch of people liked it. So it kind of turned into, like, oh, I guess this is, like, a full-on...
Yeah. Well, you gotta imagine that, like, the crossover between Mortal Kombat and wrestling fans is,
seems
like,
to be pretty big.
Pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's some of the other important aspects of it that a lot of people don't pay attention to. And it's simple on the surface until you really sit down with it and try to understand it. It sounds fucked up whenever you say it out loud, but this is the truth of the matter is 99% of your views on YouTube are the title and the thumbnail. Mm-hmm. And then it's the content. And people are like, well, no, because, it's got to be good. Like, but you got to get them to click on it.
Yep, 100%.
And that's why there's a shit ton of people that they decide, well, I'm just going to do clickbait. And to me, that's desperation.
Yeah.
That means that you can't actually hack it. What you've got to do is find that fine line of making it not only presentable, but something that's actually enticing and it seems interesting. And somebody saying the complete history of SmackDown games. I'm like, I fucking like those a lot. Of course I want to go and check this shit out because if you actually titled it as this, and this, again, this is just the unfortunate truth. If you said WWF SmackDown PlayStation 1 review, and that was it, and that's all that you said about it, you would have gotten 1/100th of the amount of interest in it.
Yeah.
But by saying it and presenting it the way that you did, that's what gets people on board with it. And it's like a big time juggling act, just trying to go and do most of this shit because you don't want to be like the desperate types who produce shit and are just like, well, I made the clickbait. I'm glad they clicked on it. Thanks, $signs. That's thankfully not the case here. It's just, it's all learning experience.
Yeah.
I feel like this stuff, like people that do the clickbait stuff, that's not sustainable either.
Because people are going to fucking figure it out.
That your shit sucks. Like, nobody's going to come back to watch it.
It's like
I know plenty of people who do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's, after a while, it's just, it's hokey and corny. And you've got to realize, like, deep down inside, I'm like, do I really feel good about producing some of this? And that just depends on, like, the individual. I know for a fact that there's a lot of game journalists out there for various websites, ones that I personally do not really like. They do the same exact thing because they're just like, well, we gotta go and up our numbers, or else they're gonna go and kick me to the curb.
Yeah,
and they'll do it in such a way. It's just like you go and click on it. Oh, it's about something completely different because they exaggerated the title and the thumbnail and all that shit, and it's lame.
Yeah,
that's what I feel like they've all become like that.
Pretty much all of them have. But you say games journalists, but I feel like anytime anyone says that, unless you're talking about very specific people, it always comes with air quotes. The word journalists. Like, you fuckers. So many of them are terrible. It's just wading through the bullshit to try to find something that's actually worth either reading or clicking on. And you know what? That kind of like brings me to your videos. If you go to your channel, you see like the thumbnail is you about to present it with the title of exactly what the fuck you're talking about. And I think that's why you have such a loyal audience, because they see right from the get-go, oh, he's going to give me exactly what I want. This is why I'm here.
Dude, I've had people even try to say, like, yeah, well, you just do clickbait videos. I was like, do I? I said, name me one video, any at all, that isn't accurate to what is being presented and discussed, both in the description, the title, and or the thumbnail. Any at all. And I was just like, don't worry, I'll be waiting with bells on. And they never end up coming back with anything. I'm like, come on now. Like, you know, if you dislike me, but don't sit there and bullshit through your teeth about it. And that's something like, to me, it's important. It's like, just be honest. That's really about it. And that's all that you really can do. I'll be the first to say that I have some of the worst fucking thumbnails, because it's literally just, all right, I need to find the one frame where I'm not making a face where it looks like I'm in mid-orgasm and or possibly on the short bus. Or there we go, right there. 14 minutes, 41 seconds. I don't look completely stupid. And then it's just put some text. Yay, wow, good job. And that's something else. It's like coming up with templates for thumbnails, because sometimes people will have like a template and they just swap out images and text just so that it's a lot easier for them to create. And that's something, it's kind of nice, because after a while, say it becomes a series, so then people start recognizing that, and visually they can scroll through an entire feed, no matter how busy it is on YouTube, and they'll see that one thumbnail and they'll be like, oh, I recognize that shit, click. Yep. You know, they don't even gotta stop, they just, it's helpful.
I kind of accidentally did that with the history ofs. Like, it's always the title across the top and then, like, the game box art. And I did the first SmackDown one, and then when I had to do the second one, I was like, well, fuck, I'll just swap out the game. And when I did Mortal Kombat, I was like, I'll just do the same thing. But I'll change the background from blue. What's more Mortal Kombat? Let's go red. Red. You know? So, and then WCW, it's like, what the fuck is W? It was like, purple? At first it was like, purple and yellow? Purple's cool. Like, let's just get some textured purple background. But
no, yours is actually uniform, and that's good, because
I try to.
Again, anybody who's like, if they get adjusted to something, and if you become known from, you know, X, Y, or Z, then you kind of need to create a pattern. Yeah. And one that's at least recognizable. I mean, there's like, for example, earlier today I was watching Wrestle Talk, wrestling channel. I guarantee you already know what I'm talking about, but. Their thumbnails follow an exact theme like that. I was watching Botchamania just earlier before that. They follow a theme to that. And it's just, so long as you've got something that you can kind of say is yours, that works. And I mean, my stupid face is what I'm using. So, yay, good.
Kind of brands it too.
Yeah. Because that's that guy that I like. I'm gonna click on that shit.
But you also have your room behind you, which is kind of stands out and is recognizable. By the way, it looks exactly like Ian's house.
Dude, it's like, I've actually moved a bunch of shit around just because I got bored. Yeah. I always get bored. I mean, after a while, sometimes you just need to shift everything around, and it's like, now I've got all the PS4 games on there, and Dreamcast and Wii and GameCube up there, just because I've been playing that a lot. So, and I've got an actual box for a PlayStation Classic, because again, I'm one of the 6 people who decided to buy one, unironically. So, dude, I bought it legitimately just a hack.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's a fucking turd right out of the box.
100%. My girlfriend got me one for, I don't remember if it was my birthday or Christmas or whatever. But she got me one, and it's like, oh, I'm just going to go give this to the guy that I work with. Just gimmick the shit out of this thing. Because the games that it comes with, it's like, okay, there's a couple good ones on there. But no, load that fucker up. Like, then I'm totally in.
Yeah, it's honestly not bad.
No, it's not. People shit on it. But
once you mod it, because I was playing, I took it down to my friend's house. I think I was playing Battle Arena Toshinden, just because I wanted to test out some of this stuff, because I know they said, oh, it's got the PAL region ROMs on it, because Sony just decided, man, you know what, producing a lot of hardware while simultaneously having our heads in our asses, this is great. This is a fucking experience and then some. And obviously that wasn't all that great. Like, we ought to also have games that utilize analog control, but no analog control. Yeah. And, you know, they did that, and they paid the price for it. And most people didn't pay the price for it because they saw $100 and were like,
Yeah. Yeah.
No. And I think I got mine on discount, and after tax came out to $26.
Oh,
jeez. Jesus, man.
And most people listening right now are just going to be going, that was $26 too many. So
it's like at $100, it was definitely overpriced for what it came with. But knowing that you can hack it is a good thing. And at whatever you can find it for now, I think it was at Target the other day, and they were like $30. It's worth $30. You know,
well, okay.
if you mod it or just as
I have for you
out of
guys.
box.
Out of the games that were on the PlayStation Classic, what would you say are your top favorites out of the bunch? It's
hard to not include Resident Evil. The original Resident Evil is my favorite game of all time. Even though I know there are other Resident Evil games that are better than it, it's my favorite. Metal Gear Solid's on there. That's a great one. Is Super fucking Puzzle Fighter on there?
Yeah.
Good game. I wouldn't say it's a favorite, but I'm just trying to think of what's on there. The problem is you posed me this question and I'm thinking of way more games that should have been on it.
I don't even know what's on it, to be honest.
You know what? I've got it.
Yeah, grab the box.
I've got it sitting right here. So we've got Battle Arena Toshinden, Cool Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Final Fantasy VII, Grand Theft Auto, Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Metal Gear Solid, Mr. Driller, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, Rayman, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Revelations Persona, Ridge Racer, Type 4, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Siphon Filter, Tekken 3, Tom Clancy's Rainbow, I don't know how the fuck it got on here, 6, and Twist Metal and Wild Arms.
Yeah. So, like, there are great games on there that I forgot. Twisted Metal's great.
Yeah.
I hear Wild Arms is great. I've never touched it, but I hear it's great. Final Fantasy VII, but the thing is with Final Fantasy VII is it's on fucking everything. So it's really not special that it's on that, too.
Exactly.
And I mean, like, oh, it's got the original Grand Theft Auto. Do you want to play the original Grand Theft Auto?
That's the problem with a lot of PlayStation 1 games. They're kind of hard to go back to.
Like, some of them can be, but some of them I still adore to this day. But, like, where the fuck...
Even, not Symphony of the Night.
No Symphony of the Night, but not even the great games like Symphony of the Night. Just where the fuck... Where's Tony Hawk? Where's Jet Moto? Where is... There are so many games.
Jet Moto being missing... there's actually a lot of Sony published and developed games that are just MIA.
Yeah.
Like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, I can honestly kind of understand for only one reason.
Soundtrack.
And that's because the licensed music in
it.
That right there is going to end up being like the death of it. And it kind of sucks just because that was an integral part of the 32-bit / 64-bit experience was those games. And like to me, I don't know, it's odd because I'm like, I don't understand why Rainbow Six is on there because Rainbow Six is a great game. It is not a great PlayStation 1 game.
No.
It's a shit PlayStation 1 game. I'm just like, so you took a really horrible port and you're like, yeah, this is why you remember the PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
No one does.
It wasn't great to start with, and it aged like a fucking banana. Like, it had a shelf life of like 3 days.
Dude, they got Mr. Driller on there. I love Mr. Driller. I don't give a fuck enough to have it as like one of the premier.
Yeah.
This is why you really like the PlayStation 1. No, it's not. It's just it just isn't, and it's even like diehard fans will realize you're taking up an extremely valuable spot.
Yeah.
And that's the truth of the matter. And I don't know. It's weird as shit. And like Battle Arena Toshinden, despite the fact that it's like a legacy game and it's important to like the history. Yeah. I'd have swapped that shit out quickly and put in like Soul Blade.
Yeah.
Just because that's an infinitely better game, and I know it's like doubling down on Namco fighting games, but come the fuck on.
Who gives a
fuck? Best 3D fighters.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like there are a bunch of games that are on the PlayStation Network for like $5.99, $4.99. Some of them are like $9.99. But like Silent Hill, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, all these games that apparently they still have the right to sell, where are they? Where are they? I mean, they're on mine now, but
yeah, I was definitely bummed out with some of the listings on there. I will say this because you had mentioned Wild Arms, but you didn't play it. Do that.
Yeah, that's right here.
At some point, Wild Arms is just I can't praise it enough. not only is it a really good game, it's got one of the best twists in any video game story. That's the honest truth.
Okay.
And it's not one of those things where it relies heavily on just that twist to make the actual story worth it. Mm-hmm. It's an amazing story, and then you don't even see this coming. Like, typically, I'm good at that shit. I'm like, oh, I can see that from a mount. No, this was a curveball, and I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
And it just made everything else just stand out, because it's got great music. Only downside to it is the in-game battle graphics, I guess you could call. The characters look like shit. They do. They honestly, it's just like pure grated cheese dick. And like, what are you? Why do you look this way? Why do you look so horrible? But the rest of the game, absolutely beautiful. Amazing soundtrack, too. Like, super good. Plus, it's a Wild West RPG. I mean, that in itself is cool.
I don't think I realized that.
I had no idea it was in the Wild West.
Unlike most... Well, I can't say most. Like, the entire series is based, like, you know... It all has, like, the Wild West theme going on with it. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people, I'm like, get the first Wild Arms, then get Wild Arms 3.
Yeah.
Wild Arms 3 is just talking like inches away, like centimeters away from being just as good as the original. But I always consider, since you were the first to the dance, you can't ever top that, because you're the first one to do it. And but both are just amazing. They also remade it. They have Wild Arms Alter Code F on PlayStation 2, and that's a remake of Wild Arms 1. Mm-hmm. But I always say that the original is still slightly better, but there is additional shit in the second one that's worth checking out.
I'm playing so many games right now. Like, I'm playing SmackDown vs. Raw because I'm working on that video. The game I'm, like, putting most of my, when I have free time, into is Days Gone, which I'm still fucking loving Days Gone. But I think I'll just buy Wild Arms digitally on my Vita, and I'll just play that before I go to bed.
Yeah, I feel like it's perfect for the Vita.
Yeah, I can sneak it in. But what's funny is, like, Wild Arms is on the PlayStation Classic, but I'm not going to play it on it.
No!
No, dude, it's one of those things where, like, I know that RPGs are kind of difficult to sell people on because they know it's a time sink. Mm-hmm. And it is. Like, it's like you've got to devote a lot of time to it. And even then, there's other times where it's like, man, you can't play anything else. Yep. Because you might trip up and forget, all right, where the fuck am I at?
I will. I straight up will.
Like, what am I supposed... I'm in a dungeon. I don't even know why. Why am I here?
Yep.
Like, I don't know what's happening.
That's always happened to me in Pokemon.
Every Pokemon game.
I would, like, get into, like, one of the caves, and then I would take a break, and I'd just be like, I lived in that cave.
You turn the game on and see your character and go, who's that guy? I've heard...
I definitely get it.
Yeah, I've heard Colin Moriarty talk about that game for fucking years, because I've been, like, a huge fan of his for so long. And the amount of times I've heard him just gush about that, I've always been like, I'll have to check it out. But now that two people are telling me that are gushing about it, I got to do it. You know, it's done.
It's honestly incredible. It's like, one of my best friends, he ended up getting the game, and he had no idea what it was. Like, he got it whenever we were both kids, and his older brother took him out, and he was like, all right, I'm going to get you a PlayStation and 2 games. And you know, my friend is a big fan of RPGs. He's actually one of the reasons why I got into the genre. Mm-hmm. And he didn't know what the fuck Wild Arms was. He just looked on the back and it you know, oh, that's an RPG. So he just got it on a whim. And then, you know, he told me and our other friend about it. Then all of a sudden, all three of us are getting into this game and checking it out. So it's stuff like that, like going online, being able to watch everything on YouTube type days, and checking that shit out, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of cool just having memories like that.
Well, it's funny, because I have never even heard of that game until, like, in my 20s.
Yeah.
Like, it's been, like, probably, like, 10 years now or so that I heard about it again. But, like, growing up, I had a PlayStation, and, yeah, just, like, nobody I knew had that game, so I just didn't know about it.
What's funny is, like, looking back, I feel like everybody on my block, PlayStation kids and N64 kids, I don't feel like anybody owned a game that wasn't AAA. Like, yeah, everybody talked about Mario Kart, and if they weren't talking about that, there was like Jet Force Gemini or Banjo. If you were a PlayStation kid, you were playing Resident Evil or all this shit. It's like, did anybody buy anything that wasn't a massive game back then?
I had
Dude,
some weird shit on my Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Dude, the Genesis was... I still feel like I'm one of the only people I've got to run into that actually got to experience the Sega Channel when it was a thing for that, like, very short amount of time.
I didn't know it was a thing until years later.
Dude, it was odd. Same exact dude I was talking about who got me into Wild Arms, my friend Sean. Like, we would always go and hang out at his house whenever he wasn't fucking grounded. And then the one day he's just like, oh, I've got Sega Channel. And I'm like, what the fuck is the Sega Channel? Like, I had no idea. And he was like, oh, it's just like, I don't know, you just got all these games. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, dude, wait, what do you mean? It's like cable? Like, he's like, yeah, kind of like, you know, you got channels and shit. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's one of those things where, like, the THX things where, like, the dude's getting blown away and shit.
Yeah.
It felt like that, except for it was just, like, 16-bit sprites just laying up my goddamn jaw.
Well,
Dude, it was weird as hell. It's like, oh, here's Golden Axe. Oh, here's Phantasy Star over here. And Sonic the Hedgehog and Streets. But there's no cartridges.
It's like,
I tell you.
that's like shit kids dream about.
Yeah.
Like back then. Like I dreamed about that. And like little did I know it existed. Like, man, I just wish there was like, all the games were here, you know?
Oh, dude, that entire thing was specifically built for poor people. Like 100%. Like it was super fucking cheap, and we lived in a very poor part of town, the hood, if you will. And like we're sitting there like, there's no way that you can afford some of those games, because it's like back in the day. Phantasy Star 4, for example, which is one of my favorite Genesis games, and it's fucking phenomenal. Do you know how much it cost whenever it came out?
Back then, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if that shit was like $90.
Close. Super close. $100.
Wow.
Brand new. That shit was $100. And I'm like, who the fuck's gonna afford this? Who? And get the new day. Who?
And that's like probably
There's no
worth
way.
like $150 now or something.
Like in today's
Adjusted for
money.
inflation?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, there's no way. I have trouble even dealing with like $60, and I technically never paid $60 because I still got a grandfathered account for Best Buy's Gamers Club Unlocked.
Nice.
Because that shit's until sometime in the middle of next year, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing this because 20% off. I'm all about that shit.
It adds up.
Dude, $100 though for a game? No. The only way that they could sell me on something like that is, I don't know. I mean, most of the things because I remember originally saying, man, if they remade Resident Evil 2, I'd totally pay $100 for it. And then they announced the collector's edition that was like way more than that. I was like, I can't afford that shit. I'm like, you fucking lied, man. Where's your devotion? Where's your zombie devotion? Suddenly fell off.
What do you feel about how a lot of people are saying when we roll into the next generation, we're saying goodbye to $60 and we're going to start looking at baseline $70 per game?
It's not going to happen.
You don't think so?
Nah. It's because the actual cost of production isn't going up so significantly for game development for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, they're currently skirting such a hard line to convince people to part with $60 for a brand new game. And while that might seem preposterous to certain people, and it's like, you know, oh, X game sold like 10 million copies. Well, that's true. But the minute that you tell people, oh, well, it's $70 now, how many start dropping off from that? And how much harder is it for you to convince your parents to part with the additional $10?
Mm-hmm.
Because the 60 was already hard to swallow as it is.
Yeah.
That's what she said. But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't even see inflation being as big of a factor in gaming. Because if you look at, there's this entire graph that was brought up in gaming in terms of like entertainment is one of the least hit things for inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Like games and systems are way cheaper. Like, was it the 3DO came out at $700?
Yep.
Brand new. The
crazy.
Neo Geo AES, I forgot what that came out at, but it was some ungodly amount. And then the individual cartridges, despite the fact that they were badass as shit, and you could honestly get a good workout just fucking lifting those bitches. Those were super expensive too. And then you had things like the PlayStation 3, which is like the prime example to bring up. Despite all memes, they dropped it at $600, and nobody was about it.
Yeah.
No one. Even diehard Sony loyalists were like, yeah, maybe one day when I'm rich. It's not going to happen because everybody's got options. And that's what the company's got to go and look at is, I could go and buy yours, but since you dropped it at this price, the competition's going to be biting at your boot heels to go and undercut you. And while they lose out on the hardware sales just a little bit, they'll make it up in like mass volume with software sales, both physically and digitally. It's just how it is. And Sony themselves did it. When Sega Saturn got announced, Sony rolled in and I think they said Saturn was announced. They were like $399 US.
Yep.
And dude that was the head of Sony Computer Entertainment, it came in, only said, was it $299, and he left the stage.
Yep.
And people were just like standing fucking ovation, just losing their collective shit, and it's just like money talks.
I feel like the only reason that we might see the price go up is because I feel like we've already seen it in our lifetime once, where I remember when PS2 games were $50.
Yeah.
And then PS3 games were $60.
Yeah.
And that, like, it's not that I feel like the straight up cost of making a game is becoming higher and higher, but it's taking way bigger teams way longer to make them, which is kind of pushing the cost higher. You know, like Mortal Kombat was made by a group of 12 fucking people, and then you look at Grand Theft Auto 5, and it's like this building, and like 2 different teams, and then they bring in $1 billion overnight. So who knows? It's not like they have to do it. But
I mean, well, there's one thing to also take into consideration with that is gaming then versus now, 2 completely different beasts.
Super true.
Gaming during the 32-bit era was when it really blew up into the mainstream, and it wasn't suddenly like this niche thing. All of a sudden, it was just an accepted form of entertainment that wasn't just relegated to being like, we're going to go and keep kids busy. You know, it's suddenly just everything and everyone. We had movies that were being advertised, or we had games being advertised as movies. Like Final Fantasy VII, when that was being advertised in movie theaters. Yeah. And they were showing this shit off, and it was done in a cinematic way. Look at Metal Gear Solid. That was being advertised in a completely different way. And while the size of development teams have gotten larger, and obviously the cost of production has obviously gone way, way up, their profit margin has also increased to the point that we could never imagine. Yeah. It's like, right now, Minecraft is, if I'm not mistaken, officially the best-selling game that there is. Yep. Minecraft costs fuck all for them to make. Like, and that's the thing that blows my mind. I mean, the shit is Java-based. Yeah. I just want to get that away. It's fucking Java-based.
I would like to know what the actual budget was.
And see those games. And the idea that Minecraft is also based on similar shit, and that game's made money hand over fist. And look at any Call of Duty game. Yeah, everybody can say that they're sick of them and hate them, but the minute that one drops, it's like guaranteed they should have 10 million sales. Yeah, like within 24 hours. They don't even need to think about it.
That's the thing that drives me nuts, and I think it's just a problem with a lot of gamers being dickheads, you know? It's just like, a Call of Duty game comes out, and it's just like, well, of course it got a fucking 8 or a 9. Like, it sucks. But it's like, okay, hold on, dude. Those games don't suck. No. You know, they're not for me. I don't play them. But they put a lot of work into those. They don't suck.
Yeah, no, I mean, the criticism is that it's the same game every year. Yeah. But it's like, people buy it, and it's like, it is a good game. Yeah. Like, if you got that, like, when Call of Duty 4 came out, that was like, holy shit, this game's great, you know? And then they just kept doing it.
Are you talking about Call of Duty Modern Warfare?
Call it Duty 4.
Call it Duty. Did you hear what the new Call of Duty's called?
No.
It's called Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, Call of Duty was...
I'll be honest, man. The trailer actually looked really good.
Yeah.
And to play off of what you had said, I think a lot of the criticism is mostly revolved around the idea that it's inescapable. Like, I know I used that word earlier, but you have like this oversaturated shit that happens with games. Like, it's overexposed on every single platform. Like, no matter where you go online, no matter who you talk to, you see commercials for it, you see advertisements for it, you hear people talking about it, and you just get sick of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Even if you don't have anything against the game, you just start getting sick of it because it's like, okay, shut the fuck up. Please, stop. Talk about anything else. And all of a sudden, it's got that stigma against it. But typically, most of the people who are against it are like, while they're very vocal, the people who are buying it up don't give a shit about any of this stuff. They don't follow this stuff to a T. They just hear, oh, new Call of Duty, and they go out and they buy it. Like, people like my brother.
Exactly.
My brother doesn't give a fuck about any of this stuff. He doesn't know about any of it. He's just a very casual, game-playing type person who goes and buys it, and that is the majority. That's who that they're actually, like, kind of catering to.
Absolutely.
While we're sick of it, we're also in the know. We're constantly looking this shit up. We're literally plugged the fuck in, and it's just like, oh, yeah, pumping into my vein. Oh, God, more Call of Duty. Get stuff back. You know, that's how it is. And eventually you don't want that anymore. You want some new, fresh shit. Well, the other people, they don't. They're the same ones who will buy Madden every single year, all the time. It doesn't matter. You could, yeah, but did you see the grass? Oh, man, that's some good grass. And then they went and they bought it. And it's just, that's how it is.
With the special edition, you have to mow the grass. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned...
They have you doing, like, sim-type shit and managing and stuff, so it's... They'll do anything, but it is. They're good games. It's just, you get sick of them. Like, whenever you could not find a single person to shut the fuck up about Five Nights at Freddy's...
Oh, yeah.
That shit was everywhere. I swear I grind my teeth just staring at the screen where it was like... Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your boy, Super Crown 682, back with another video. Alright, let's get right into this. We're going to do Five Nights at Freddy's Part 6, Part 2, and we're going to go and play. Oh my god! Whoa! That was really scary. I nearly just caked my pants. Alright guys, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on all my social media, and please make sure to hit that like button and that bell, and I'll be right back with the next video. I already uploaded 16 more, and you'll watch them because you're a fucking sucker. That was everywhere.
Excellent.
That was...
Oh, God. It was terrible.
My favorite part of that was Welcome to Five Nights at Freddy's Part 6, Part 2.
Dude, they would do that shit though. I'd see it sometimes. I'm like, please stop. And then, if they didn't already go and tap this vein enough, they were like, all right, well, I'm going to take a bunch of clips from this, and now I have a montage of it. I'm like, you need to be stopped. Like, you were some kind of actual evil. And I know that people would say, then just don't watch it. I'm like, well, I don't, but it's there. And YouTube's like, hey, I'm going to recommend this to you. I'm like, well, stop. You can literally recommend anything to me. Like, it just, I'd rather watch two guys, one hammer, like, on repeat. Stop it. And it wouldn't. And now, all of a sudden, it's like, every single, like, X amount of months or X amount of years, there's that thing that will be overexposed.
Yeah.
And now, like, Fortnite seems to be that thing, but now it's waning suddenly.
Yeah.
Thankfully. I mean, it's still bringing in, like, shit tons of money, because it was like, hey, Apex Legends. I'm like, I thought you all really hated Electronic Arts.
Yep.
Huh? Anyone? No? No, you forgot about... Oh, man, you have literally goldfish memories. And then that fell off, too, and I'm like, okay, so what's next? What's going to be the next thing that we eventually get sick of and want to beat the shit out of?
The Apex Legends thing was a little bit of a head scratcher for me because they shadow dropped it, which is the only way they could have done it. Because if they announced it 6 months out, people would have been like, oh, okay, Battle Royale. Yeah. But they dropped it, and people were like, oh, fuck, it's free? I'll check it out.
Right.
So all these people check it out, and now it's been a few months, and it's dropping off. And games journalists, air quotes, are just like, is Apex Legends dying? And it's like, no, they gave it to you for free. People checked it out. Now they're fucking moving on. Like, this is always what that was going to be. Unfortunately, who is it? Respawn that made that? Unfortunately, I don't think the developers realized that was going to happen because they canceled Titanfall 3 to focus on Apex Legends. So
they canceled it completely?
They were like, our team is going to focus on Apex Legends. So
our team is going to try to suck the teeth of the trend until it's just producing powder now. Okay, move on.
We can bring it back.
I just want to see them resuscitating one really terrible titty. Like, there's some more money in there. They're just like wringing it out like this, and they're like, "There's got to be a drop in there somewhere."
The nipples
gotta recoup the cost for all the damn advertising. You see that stuff, and it's like I've had this discussion with so many people where I said, overexposure will make you hate things naturally, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
And this goes for like TV shows, it's like fandoms in general that you just cannot get away from no matter what. And you're just like, oh, shut the fuck up. And that's the same exact thing with like this subgenre. I remember for a while it was like I couldn't get away from MOBA games.
Yeah.
And that was everywhere. And it was like anybody who was like a fucking e-athlete and shit. And it's like, oh yeah, pro gamer number 62 here. You're back with another video. They were doing that shit for a while, and I was just like, oh my god, please just fucking stop it.
Yep.
I'm so sick of seeing these fucking games. But that didn't get nearly as nauseating as some of the other shit, but it's odd because like Minecraft was even that way, and now since that like has calmed down, suddenly everybody's like, hey, Minecraft, honestly, I don't hate it nearly as much, and that's because suddenly it's not in your face all the time, so you can actually just appreciate it and enjoy it. I've done that with like TV shows and shit. I didn't even watch Naruto at all until that shit was like way over, and I was like, oh fuck, finally. It was like coming out from a fallout shelter, and they got my fucking suit on and shit, and I'm like, okay, now it's safe to go into the world. I'm like, wait, what? Like, that's not how this works. Like, no, I just didn't want to be around people. Now it's just like, I have to deal with monsters. I could shoot a monster in the face. Legally, I couldn't shoot those other monsters and stuff, the Karens of the world. See, thought ahead.
I was thinking about things where the fandom had soured me on it. And what's the one that I always talk about in the group chat? Oh, like, I don't watch the show, so I don't really have anything bad to say about the show, but I can't fucking escape memes and GIFs from The Office.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know a lot of people with good opinions and good sense of the humor who tell me the show's great, but I can't fucking avoid it, so I have no interest in watching it.
I feel like The Office memes and, like, The Office internet thing has, like... It's, like, kind of new. Like, it's kind of... like, The Office was on, and it was a great show, and people loved it. And then, like, it went off, like, it ended, and it just kind of ended. And, like, it was on reruns. But, like, now, like, the memes and the GIFs and stuff, it's, like, it's all over the place.
I feel like it's been all over the place for fucking ever.
I feel like it's, like, recently upped.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Some people are just fucking stupid.
It's like a second wave.
Yeah. Which brings me to...
it's the second coming of The Office.
Well, they're talking about bringing it back, apparently.
They're talking about doing, like, a reunion.
Okay.
Not like a actually bringing it back.
They're all too busy now. Yeah. But on the topic of people being stupid, when I was flipping through the comments on the new WCW video today, I came across... in my Mortal Kombat 11 review, I came across somebody who said I was a paid shill. And that I was just being nice so that NetherRealm would fly me out to see the next project. And I'm like, dude, I can't get a favorite on Twitter.
Me. Oh, shit.
Yeah, right?
Oh, man, I thought I hid that really well. You got a super sleuth here. Everybody, batten down the hatches and fucking prepare your anuses. This motherfucker's gonna let loose with truth bombs everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh.
There was that one about me, and then I came across one about you. He was like, oh, video is great, but I can't get down with AlphaOmegaSin and his alt-right leanings. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I've had some of the most fucking weird shit. Like, recently, number one, I don't talk about politics at all.
Yeah.
Like fucking ever. They're like, yeah, can we alt-right whatever the fuck? And it's like, what? Like, where did you dig up this corpse from exactly? Yeah. Because this ain't it. This ain't it at all. And I've had people, what is it? Recently there was this rumor going around that I've been doing porn. I've been banging these goth porn chicks and stuff. Yeah. And it's like, man, I honestly enjoy this rumor, but that's not what I've been up to.
Yeah.
But this is fantastic.
Is there like some male porn star?
All right, well, Alpha's out there going and doing porn parodies of video games and shit. It's like, again, dreams and shit, only if I hit the lottery. But it's just odd because, like with you, the idea that somebody says this shit out loud, I'm like, do you really think that people don't actually make things because they like it? Like, is that what goes through your head? So anytime that you exclaim anything at all, should we go into the person who made the stupid fucking claim? Should we just call into question anytime that you like something? If you're like, oh man, really enjoyed that food at Cracker Barrel, I'm like, wow, everybody. Oh my god, fucking shill over here. They're gonna send you coupons now? You fucking shill. My god, it's like, what? Again, I'm just gonna go back to the tried and true, man, good old glory. Shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Just shut the fuck up. Like, oh my god, it's in the alt-right.
Yeah.
What about me seems alt-right? It's, like, I don't understand it. I had somebody go and call me racist, and I was just like, based off of what? Mm-hmm. And they're like, obviously, and you're sexist. I was like, based off what?
Yeah.
And just like, you know what it is? It's where, and it's this like mentality where people figure if they call you the worst possible thing that they can label you as, they're just like, haha, I deplatformed that person I don't like for whatever dumb fucking reason I can't get over.
Yeah.
So this is my way of being able to go and argue and debate them over subjects that they don't even know about because I'm nothing.
Yeah.
And I see that shit and I'm just like, you do realize that not only am I not any of those things, and you have absolutely no fucking evidence to support any of your claims, you're literally just yelling into the void.
Yep.
And that's it. And, like, the bigger that your channel gets, the more that you're going to see stupid shit like that.
I know.
To everybody who's listening, the more that you do this stuff, you will find somebody, they don't need to have a reason, they will just say the shit because they are bored or insecure, or they might be absolutely fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, they really might be, to the point it's just like, you have to go and question their mental stability. It's like, people just say things to say things. Mm-hmm. Yes. But yeah, and dude, I think that's pretty awesome. When you get flown out by NetherRealm Studios, which you definitely are because you were totally paid by them.
Oh yeah.
Please let them know about me. I'd totally like to go out and get some Mortal Kombat money. That'd be some cool shit. Maybe cash in at the crypt. That'd be fantastic.
Hey, thanks for flying me out, guys. Have you ever heard of this guy who's like 60 times bigger than me?
He's all right. Is that okay?
Yeah, but he's all right. Just to get that out there.
Yeah, he's all right with the alt-right. So you gotta just point that out and be like, oh, he has. Well, what has he said? Let's ignore that. Just move on. I said it. That's it. We're gonna seal that up. Tupperware tight.
The first video they did about Mortal Kombat 11, I talked about how it annoyed me how many people were upset that they used that rap song in the trailer. And all I said was, look, it's a bad song, but who gives a fuck? The game is going to be fun. This song is not even going to be in the game. Get over it. Let's talk about Mortal Kombat now. Forget the song. People in the comments were just like, bruh, you're racist. Like, sorry it's not country. And I'm like, dude, that's racist.
To me on Twitter.
The what?
I'm dead. I had the same fucking thing
said
to me on Twitter. I was just like, that song's fucking trash.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, wow. Obviously, you're pretty racist. I was like, what?
Yeah. What? Like, how do you get that?
Like, dude, here. One, it's just a shitty song. Mm-hmm. Period. Like, even to people who like rap, you'd go, oh, well, no.
Yeah.
No. Here's a box. Like, just fill it up. it's a bad song, and it contrasted so fucking bad with what was happening on screen. I'm like, you didn't realize these just do not gel at all.
It didn't fit
like,
at
it's
all.
oil and water in general, and that's the entire point that people were making, and that takes you out of the element of enjoying what's happening.
Yeah.
Is because, like, what you're hearing, it's like, think about it, when you're watching something, it's just like two senses, visual and audible. It's just like, one of them's all fucked up. Well, okay, half of this is all ruined for me.
Yeah.
And the idea of anybody, bro, you're pretty racist for not liking that rap song. Like, do you know that you saying that in general inherently is racist?
Yeah. And it's like, dude, and I like a bunch of rap. I just don't like this.
Yeah, I've told people, I'm just like, look, there's plenty of rap that I've heard that I'm just like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, I don't really listen to rap. Like, I just listen to metal primarily, and, like, lots and lots and lots of 80s music. But, like, this was just a bad song.
Yeah.
And how is this reflective of any group of people at all?
Yeah.
Anywhere at all? Like, it's not even, like, this doesn't even represent other rappers.
No.
You're going to say, like there's suddenly a correlation between this and the actual race of people? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, who emptied out your brain was like, this is a really good place for me to just put a bunch of lint and Skittles. Cool. Glad you're going to be able to fucking have a lot of good opinions with that fucking little head meat. It's just like, no, just no.
I feel like Skittles are probably one of the most common candies found in the couch. You said lint and Skittles, and I pictured, like, reaching in between couch cushions. It's probably Skittles in there.
Take it away from you.
There's something I'm going to show both of you. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It's funny because we're going to talking about that. Have you ever heard of this game, Darkened Sky?
No, but it looks dope.
Nope.
Okay, so, alright, from you being able to look at this right here, I just want you guys to tell me, from first impressions, what do you think this game would be?
So to describe it to the people who can't see it, the cover, it's like, you got kind of like a fantasy-style looking babe, and she seems to have maybe a weapon in her hand, and there's like a demon approaching her from the back. And when the box is flipped over, we can see she's definitely a babe who's quite busty. And the demons are still encroaching.
I would think it was like some JRPG.
I don't think it's Japanese, but I feel like
it looked a little Japanese.
I'm thinking fantasy action.
Okay, you would be 100% right. It is fantasy action.
Okay.
It's actually a very good game, and I typically compare it to another title called A Bard's Tale.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
Now, this game I'm actually writing about right now.
Excellent.
The reason I bring it up, because we were just talking about Skittles. That game that I just showed you is nothing but an advertising vehicle for the Skittles candy.
That sounds amazing.
Now, I just want to show you because this is going to be the easiest one. Okay, do you see that screenshot right there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this green bitch right here, the really fucked up one that looks like she's been pickled. She, whenever you meet her early on, and the thing that she hands you is a gigantic fucking Skittle. And that's what this whole game is based around, is that this dude, this tyrant, basically, wants to go and take over the world, so the world's magic is Skittles. And he's trying to outlaw color, because they were doing the whole Taste the Rainbow thing. That's like when that advertising had started around that time.
Yeah.
And the game is extremely self-aware of the fact that it's just shameless promotion and advertising, and it even makes fun of some of this stuff within the storyline, which makes me appreciate it 10 times more. But it's odd because this game is actually really good.
I love
it's not
that.
Great. It's not going to be like the best thing ever. But the idea that later in development, they were trying to actually remove all the Skittles references because they're like, no, this shit's like way too good. We worked on it for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And the development team, like the publisher told the development team, oh yeah, can you remove that? They're like, no. Like, do you realize how much of it is in there? Like, we can't go back and do that. Like, dude, this will be like an entire fucking extra year of development. And by then, who the fuck's going to play it? And then it came out and no one fucking played it. But it's just action adventure game that it references Skittles here and there, but it's like even when you go into your menu and you're swapping out your skills and magic and shit, it's just Skittles candy everywhere on the fucking screen.
And they're called Skittles?
These slots here. It's nuts. But it's like some of the best shit that I've seen outside of Final Fantasy 15 using Cup Noodle.
Yeah.
It's just weird that, like, Skittles appear nowhere on the box.
That's what I was thinking. Like, where's the sponsored by Skittles gimmick?
So, get this shit. That's something that I was even writing about is you look at the cover,
Yeah.
no references. You look at the back, no references, except for if you look
Some
really,
fine
really
print.
close at the fine print.
I see it.
It's right there.
Skittles and Taste the
Same.
Rainbow are official
And
trademarks.
Unless you got the manual, because when you open up the manual, again, it doesn't really seem like a whole lot of shit. What the fuck is the Skittles candy stuff? Sorry that I'm doing this while we're supposed to be doing a fucking podcast.
This is the podcast.
Right now. Okay, I can't fucking find it and I don't feel like reading. But they reference Skittles like a whole bunch inside of here, and I know towards the back there's like actually an area where they're like, oh yeah, special. There it is. Yeah, the Mars Candy Company, because that's who owns Skittles.
Yeah.
But it is. Just look up some of the footage for Darkened Sky. It's on PC and GameCube. But it's honestly a good game. That's what's fucked up about it, and it makes me feel bad because it's such a funny game and an enjoyable game, and it's got all this character, and it's like, but you're just a fucking glorified commercial.
Yeah.
Like deep down, you're a fucking commercial that's in between the couch cushions that we were discussing.
But could you imagine, like, going to the video store as a kid, like, renting that game, not knowing, like, just like, oh, it's like a fun fantasy game, and then just like all this Skittles.
Dude, it's so weird. Like it's like in the very first CG cutscene, like all this shit's happening, and then all of a sudden it's like there's some fucking Skittles, and it's like what's happening?
Because
what
it's not.
What is this?
It's not the first game that's been just an advertisement vehicle.
Yeah.
But like you're not advertising it if like Skittles is like not in the title or not on the cover.
Yeah, you have to buy it first. Like, the whole idea is usually just like, no, put Skittles on there, and then the moms will buy it because they know what Skittles
Call
are.
it Skittle Scott.
Dude, it's so weird because the dev team behind it, they signed this contract, and it was for two different candies. One was M&M's, and the other was Skittles. And the first game that they made was an M&M's platforming game, which plays like Crash Bandicoot. It's honestly not the shittiest thing in the world.
That sounds dope.
And then they made this, and I'm just like, but this obviously isn't a Skittles game.
Yeah.
You were like, we got a really good idea for a game. We're just going to use our advertising budget that we got thanks to doing this whole Skittles thing to try to go and fund this. Fuck, it's still technically about Skittles. Okay, we need to take the piss out of it as many times as we can. And it's funny. It bugs me because I'm like, I wish it got more attention, but yeah, it's just a commercial.
Well, it's about to get a lot more.
Talking about it right now if it wasn't for that, so
It's about to get a lot more attention if you're writing about it.
yeah. Oh, dude. I've actually I've been like years and years ago. I used to do a lot of writing, and then I kind of just didn't. And then I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he actually runs this one game website. And he was like, "You just want to write for me?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" So I'm trying to write up this because it's basically like shameless promotion and advertising in games. And one of the other ones I did was for Alan Wake. Have you guys played that?
No, but I know about it. That was one of the few 360 games I was jealous of because it looked cool.
Dude, if you get the game because it's still cheap right now, try to find a limited edition one. It comes with a book, and it's actually worth having the book for because the entire premise is Alan Wake is an author and he writes some shit. Well, this is like the book for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
And they have two companies that they advertise to such a degree it's beyond shameless. Like you could tell they probably were doing the shit with shit-eating grins on their face, and they're like, it's Verizon and Energizer batteries. You have to run around with the flashlight all the time in this game. well, you have to pick up Energizer batteries. Big fucking packaging for it. And it was like, would you like to pick up the Energizer batteries? They just keep going and going and going. Go on, get them. Get the Energizer batteries. Look over there. Energizer. It's like, it's always there. And then the other one is Verizon. And they've got billboards for Verizon everywhere. But the thing that's so fucked is one of the achievements in the game is you have to watch an actual Verizon wireless commercial on a television. And as soon as it finishes, it's like, ba-dink! And then you get your fucking achievement. I'm like, oh my god.
That's
the
fucked.
Fucking balls. The balls that are clearly filled with advertising money. And it's like, yep, that's right. You will watch this shit. You want that fucking gamer score cred? You gotta do it. Do it, bitch.
The questions I have about Darkened Sky are, I have two. Number one, did you know that it was a Skittles game when you first played it, or did that surprise you?
Every time that I had seen it, and this was like, I didn't even read about it. I just kept seeing the game case. Mm-hmm. And I looked down and was like, oh, that looks cool. And I'd never heard of it, so I was just drawn to it for that. And it wasn't until like years later, because I just never found the game for like cheap enough that I want to go in on it. Mm-hmm. But then I'd done some research about it over the years, and I was like, oh my god. This is just about goddamn Skittles. Are you fucking tasting the rainbow? Kidding me. Yeah. Like, it's just, it was such a mindfuck. And then I scooped it up. It was like $8. And I was like, that's totally worth it. And especially complete. I'm like, yeah, I'm about that shit. And I got this, they got this GameCube thingy that you plug into the back, and you can actually put an HDMI cord to it. Mm-hmm. And it's really, really awesome. I was like, cool. So I've actually been playing them more because I got like a little TV here on my computer desk with the GameCube hooked up. And I was just laughing my ass off at some of this stuff just because it was so ridiculous. But yeah, I didn't know originally. Now that I know, I kind of like it even more because of that.
Yeah, of course.
It's ridiculous.
My other question was going to be, I've worked at a game store for 8 years and I've never seen it. Is it rare and valuable? But no, you got it for $8.
It's so, I don't know if it's technically rare. I feel like it's uncommon because I don't see it all the time, but there's really no demand for it. And I kind of dig that in a lot of ways. And it's odd because... and I didn't know about this because I've never seen this version. I feel like technically this version would be the more rare version. Mm-hmm. There's a combo pack. It's the most weird shit. It's Darkened Sky and I think Outlaw Golf.
Amazing.
And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's like, okay, you got this fantasy action adventure game that's really funny and stuff. What do we pair it with? Golf. Boom! There we go. Let's do that shit. I'm like, what's happening here? But it's because like the company that's behind it, like they were in charge of like I think publishing both games. Mm-hmm. So they're just like, yeah, we can't. We'll just give them both games. That's it. I'm like, wow, they fit them both. I don't know if it's a dual, if there's 2 discs inside, or if it's just one. Yeah. But if they got them both onto one tiny ass GameCube disc, awesome. Man, more power to them.
That combo reminds me of, and I see this thing at work all the time. It's a Blu-ray that has 4 movies on it, and it's Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Mortal Kombat Legacy Season 1, and Spawn.
Well, you know what? Hey, at least it fits now because Season 1 for MK11
Spawn is in it.
Actually got Spawn, which is badass.
Now, well, and at least it's like, well, Mortal Kombat fans would like Spawn.
Yeah.
But like golf and this fantasy skills game, like there's...
It was weird because like I was typing it in and I was just like, I was looking up everything I could on it. And I'd seen this combo pack, like, dude, it was just like a fucking JPEG image. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, that can't be right. That's not real. And then I looked and I was like, what the fuck? And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, tee, this is so goofy. And it added to everything that I was just like laughing about. Oh, when you said you worked at a game store for 8 years, was it a GameStop or was it a mom and pop shop?
It's I usually call it Empire Records on this store to keep it coded, but that's usually just because I'm talking shit about stuff that happened at the store and I don't want to sell anybody out personally. But it's officially a disc replay.
Okay. So, dude, to me, like, I always find it interesting when people have worked at those kind of places, because, like, I know that whenever we were messaging back and forth, because you brought up the whole thing of the script, and you're like, oh yeah, this fucking guy at Funko Land. I'm like, I worked there. That was my very first job. I was 16 working there, and I found that to be funnier. And I didn't even get to tell you this. So originally, I was actually going to do that entire bit as Macho Man. My brother has a legitimate. He bought this. Dude, it had to have been like 20 years ago or some shit. He bought an actual Macho Man Randy Savage hat and sunglasses that were his, and they were autographed. They had a certificate of authenticity, and he's got them at his house, and they're fucking cool as hell. And I was going to be like, oh, dude, let me borrow them just for this video. And I'm like, oh, yeah! And just go completely batshit doing that. And I couldn't get a hold of my brother, so I was like, fuck, I'll just go do it as I normally do. And I was like, I'll just wear my CM Punk shirt. That works. Yeah.
Well, dude, that's like there's a 4-second fucking section where I talk about the I got my grandma to buy me the strategy guide for Mayhem before the game came out, and I was just like flipping through it, and I'm like 9 years old, blown away by the graphics because I'm coming from fucking Thunder, so like the way Mayhem looked, I was like, wow. I bought the strategy guide for Mayhem on eBay so I could actually get the video of flipping through the guide, like have it in my hand. It disappeared in Iowa somewhere. It still has not shown up. I ordered it like 3 weeks ago.
More than likely, that truck was hijacked. When they found out that there was a WCW Mayhem strategy guide on there, they're just like, oh, that shit. All right, boys, roll out. They come in guns blazing, pull that shit up. It was some Ocean's 11 shit. Because they needed that. They needed it. Did you find is there a download of it, like a PDF?
I don't know. I just found a couple JPEGs and did the best I could.
You know what you could have done? Just move your hands around and just take a really low resolution JPEG. Just fucking do this. And they're like, I am really enjoying this strategy guide. And you can tell, and like it just slowly moves over to your other hand. It's like the best guide ever.
I loved your cameo because I DM'd you about it, and I was like, hey, would you want to do this? And you were like, yeah. And then I was like, okay, here's the line. And all it was just like a, oh, you're going to get Mayhem? Man, the chairs passed right through him. It's not very good. And then you sent me this, like, 7-minute video of all these different takes and just, like putting your personality in it. I was like, thank God he did that. I'm so glad he did that.
There was this part of me that, like, no shit, I was just like, oh, man, what if he's like, this motherfucker, he's going into business for himself. Oh. And like, I'm gonna have to fucking stomp him. I kept on thinking about it. I'm just like, I honestly ad-lib like everything. Mm-hmm. Like, everything's off the top of my head. I was like, I'll just try it like this. Maybe my fucking brain will churn out something half decent. And I was sitting there. I was just like, okay, I hope he likes this and he doesn't tell me to go fuck myself and just do it. I said stick to the script. Damn it. Like pull a fucking Vinnie Mac. Like no. You can't go off the script.
I should have known he was going to go off script. He's all right.
I honestly, I had fun with it just because it was, like, it's wrestling related shit. And I'm sitting there, like, I remember even, like, before I do the video, like, a lot of times I'll just pause and I just run a bunch of shit through my head. Like, I swear to God, it's like fucking Matrix code or some shit. and just like, you know, without the budget. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, what should I reference? What would be fun? I don't know. Fuck it. We'll do it live. And
we'll do it live.
Huh?
I said, we'll do it live.
Yeah, dude, I was sitting there, I was debating on doing a joke about Steiner math. And I'm just like, I don't know how to fucking fit that into there. Oh well. But no, I think it came out. It was good.
It came out awesome. I appreciate you doing it. I asked a bunch of people for questions, and then you retweeted it. So now we have way too many questions. So we'll just do some of them. So I'm gonna find this tweet real quick. This is extremely unprofessional. I should have been prepared, but
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, it can't be that bad. I'm sitting there walking around like, all right, I'll get the PlayStation Classic because I don't know the fucking games off the top of my head. Oh, I'll go and get this over here too. It's just whatever.
You've obviously never listened to our podcast before.
It's a fucking mess. I guess we'll take this one first. This is from Arabian Night, and his question was, when is Alpha going to start making videos on his channel again? And you said you're coming back. Do you have a date in mind, or do you know what that first video is?
Originally, I wanted it to be the 5th, but so I've actually been waiting on somebody to get me some software specifically so that I can sideload old iOS games onto old iPads because I don't know how at all. And to be honest, I'm just kind of stupid when it comes to iPads because everything Apple related, I'm like, just please give me back my Windows everything.
Yeah.
And it's just honestly super foreign to me, but he's helped me out for that because I need footage of that. Like I wrote up some stuff specifically for that, and that's actually like a really integral thing to it. So that kind of delayed some shit.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I had stuff done before E3 because E3 is next week. I think the 11th.
Dude, snuck up big time.
Oh, what'd you say?
It snuck up big time.
Oh yeah, dude. I always have to look up the dates for things, but I was just like, okay, I want to have that shit. I want to have at least like one thing out, and then just start hammering on E3 everything, just because I'm an opinionated piece of shit. So
I think that's why people like you, though.
Yeah. I'd see this one person's like, I don't like AlphaOmegaSin. He's a fucking asshole and he's opinionated. And I was just like, well, that's an opinion, dude. I mean, I am an asshole. I mean, I wear that badge with pride.
This next question comes from Gamer Mario 530. He had 4, but that's too many, so we're just going to use 1. He wants to know, what's your favorite home console or a handheld of all time?
Let's see. Favorite console of all time is probably the PS1.
Damn.
I feel like that was the biggest game changer, honestly. It just, like, that shook up the entire industry, and I know a lot of games on there look like shit because it was like, that was when 3D gaming was in its infancy. So obviously there was a whole lot of experimentation going on, but I kind of dig it for that reason. It's just, there's so many fucking killer classic games on there. Like, I could go on for hours about that system. As for handheld, I mean, if we're going super duper mainstream, probably the DS. Okay. I really like that one. There was just a lot of cool ass titles on there. Ones I never expected that I'd be into. If we're going non-mainstream, the Neo Geo Pocket Color. That system does not have a bad game on it. I'm not even fucking kidding. It's like a flawless library. It's such a good system. It just, no one gives a fuck about it. And it's also got one of my favorite wrestling games on it.
Which one's that?
It's, it was it Big Bang Pro Wrestling, I think. It's, hold up, I know.
I don't even know what the fuck that is.
Pocket Color Wrestling. Haha. Yes, everybody can listen to the clickety clack. Yeah, Big Bang Pro Wrestling. Good, I actually remembered it. It's, if you check this shit out, like, get a Neo Geo Pocket Color emulator. They're fucking super easy to find, and it's a lot better than trying to aim your Neo Geo at the light and try to get it just right so you can see everything.
Yeah.
But I only checked it out because they had a version of The Undertaker in it. And I was like, oh man, he looks fucking cool as shit. And I checked the game and I was like, oh my god, this is really good. And it's just, I don't know, it's fun.
Here's another one from the Big Dog 8873. What does Capcom need to do or learn from the Juggernaut Resident Evil 2 remake to knock the hopeful, inevitable Resident Evil 3 remake out of the park?
I want them to just do more of that. I've gone on record saying that I think that Resident Evil 2 is arguably the best game that's come out this generation. It's easily for me, I think it's one of the best remakes and one of the best Resident Evils because it did something that no other Resident Evil game has done prior to that. And I know it sounds like I'm just fucking sucking this game off, but the idea that it took old Resident Evil, new Resident Evil, and mixed that together so well, that you're essentially taking two entirely different audiences and appeasing both of them, as well as doing proper justice to what I consider one of the best damn games ever made.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, man, that's so fucking cool. I mean, if they were going to do anything to make it better, just add more to it. Like, that's really about it. Like, Resident Evil 2 Remake added a lot. With Resident Evil 3 reuses a lot of RE2 assets.
Oh yeah.
I'd want to see them just do a bunch of new shit with it, in addition to what already exists, just to kind of make it its own thing without having to rely so heavily on, RE2. Even though that's kind of a thing with the story and shit, but, whatever.
If I could just take control and have them add one thing, dude, if there was an option for fixed camera angles, I would definitely fuck around with it.
See, on PC, there's actually an option for the Resident Evil 2 Remake. There's a mod to put in fixed camera angles. There was also one for RE4. But the thing about it that fucks it up is when you go and aim, if you're trying to get, for example, all zombies, I ran around and I'm just kneecapping them and just trying to take them out that way because their heads apparently just love eating bullets all fucking day. Well, whenever it's a fixed camera angle, you won't know exactly where you're aiming, despite the fact that it looks like you're aiming your gun at them, but, shots can be going anywhere, in the shoulders, hands, wherever.
This one comes from BDW Snake. What is your dream game?
What does that mean?
Dream game.
Yeah, so artist asked what that means. There were rumors that Rocksteady was making a Superman game. That's my dream game.
So a game that doesn't exist that you want to exist.
Well, okay, here, how about this? You two go, and then I'll go.
Mine would definitely be there were all these rumors after Rocksteady did Asylum, City, and Night that they were going to be doing a Superman game. They've made it clear they're not doing a Superman game. The word on the street is it's actually a Justice League game that might be episodic and is probably on next gen. That's what I've heard. But that's still cool with me because I'm a DC guy at heart, and if it's a Justice League game, I will get to play as Superman a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
that would be my dream one.
Well,
What's
and
yours?
then who knows? They could possibly spin off into it. Honestly, I kind of just want Marvel Heroes to come back.
You loved that.
I talked about that game a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and after I talked about it, I started thinking about it. And I really wanted to play it, but it doesn't exist anymore, and it's impossible to play.
Heartbreaker.
Man, there's so many that come to mind right now. So I won't say that this is the tippy top one, but man, it is high as fuck on my list. I would very much like a remake of the original Parasite Eve on PS1.
Okay.
I play that game once a year, every single time when December rolls around, and it's a surprisingly short game, but it's just an extraordinary game. I love so much about it. I would just want them to make the game a bit longer. That's about it. That's literally one of my only demands. And obviously just make the game prettier. I even love the battle system for it. I was okay with that. I just wanted to kind of come back. That and Breath of Fire 3 are two RPGs I always think of. And I'm like, oh, these would be so damn good to see them return. And Capcom's been on a roll, but I don't know if they would ever want to make a return to role-playing games. And Breath of Fire was one of the only ones that they really did. But goddamn, they killed it with that game. It was the entire series except for Dragon Quarter, which is I'd rather deep fry my fucking face than go back to that game because it's just it doesn't even deserve to have the name Breath of Fire. Terrible. But everything else, no, top quality. Also, Breath of Fire 6 doesn't exist. So.
This comes from our buddy Craig Hamburger. He says, he looks like a real metalman. Ask him about metal and recommend to him Act of Destruction and Dishonor. And also ask him why Blind Guardian is the best band of all time.
No, man. I do like Blind Guardian. Best band of all time? Definitely couldn't do that. I know I'm breaking hearts right now. Let's see. If I'm going to recommend anything, I actually had somebody ask me recently, because they were asking for recommendations, and I told them Creator and Dark Angel, because they're asking about like thrash metal and shit. And actually, Dark Angel's got one of my favorite albums of all time, and that's Darkness Descends.
Mm-hmm.
And that album from front to back is just the shit. God, what's the one tune? It's like, fuck. It has the word death in it, and I can't even fucking remember the name of it. Favorite album full time, can't remember the name of it. But the album's just like extremely killer. I always just try to tell people, I'm like, please, 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 for the love of God, go listen to that. Or listen to a band called Sathanos that I'm going to plug because it's my brother's band.
Nice.
They're actually really good.
We got a question from No Taxes Nigel Bravo, who says, ask him if he's going to see Demons and Wizards on tour, and ask him to confirm that Hansi is greater than John Schaefer? What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know.
I'm not sure because I don't really listen to them.
Okay.
So that's going to be one of those things. It's like, I know of them. That's really about it, but I've never actually sat down and listened to them, unless it's one of those bands where they've been on and I just wasn't aware that I was listening to them. Mm-hmm. But man, that's like one of those bands I'd have to hit up my friend Cameron about, because I know damn well he'd probably be like, oh yeah, of course I know about them.
We got a question from medic_wheat, who is asking, he says, also, AlphaOmegaSin has made some tweets in regard to the pro-Jared drama. Does he have any thoughts about this sort of thing and the YouTube/public figures and their private offers becoming the stuff of TV novellas? Considering there is more recent drama and I don't know what the fuck you typed here, bro, but how do you feel about these jabronis making everything super public?
Oh, man. That's actually the first thing I was going to bring up, because... okay, so... I can't say I'm, like, super heartbroken about the thing with Pro Jerry, because he was always a dick to me.
Okay.
He was just, honestly, just rude in general.
Mm-hmm.
And no real reason why, but beyond that, a lot of shit that he did and his ex, Heidi, I don't know what to really call her, his wife, ex-wife, you know, they aired a bunch of their personal shit in a public for no reason at all. And to me, it's just like, that's stupid to do. Like, in general, it's stupid and it's childish.
Yeah.
Like, if you're separating, fine. But the fact that you're both trying to turn this into a thing, and obviously it's cost him a whole lot. Mm-hmm. And there's people coming forward about him sending them like a shit ton of nude pictures, him having Tumblr accounts where he's allowing, like, you know, he's essentially like trying to groom people. Mm-hmm. And it's just a lot of really fucking gross things. You know, it's taking advantage of your position and of the situation that you're in. And also, he kind of just looks like a flamingo with ham pulled over it really tightly. So I can't imagine anybody being like, this is good stuff. And it's like, the day that like everything just went and let loose, there's like pictures of his dick all over fucking Twitter. I'm scrolling through my feed and I'm just like, that's a very small, weird looking penis that I did not ever want to see at all for any reason. Now burned into my memory. Jesus fucking Christ. Why? No amount of eye bleach is going to get rid of the memory. So it's just, it's dumb. Like, it is. Like, I'm not into the whole drama thing, but when you see that stuff, like, I made 2 cracks at him, which I thought were funny.
Yeah. But
again, there was no love lost. So, and it's one of those things where it's like, they decided to put all this shit out there for everybody, and then it just got dissected by the internet, and it's like, I don't know, the whole thing's dumb. It's like, I like keeping my personal life just mine. That's it. And it's like my family, my loved ones and all that. That's my shit. Like, if I want to talk about anything publicly, I will. It's like my son, for example. I put him in one video, and then that was it. And I was scared shitless to go and do that. And I only made that because I just wanted him to be in one, so that he'd have memories of that, like when he's older. So you can see I got to be with Dad. So, you know, to me, that was very cool. But I remember just sitting there sweating bullets the entire time, because it's like, the minute that somebody even says something like mean about him, obviously you're going to be like super defensive and upset about it, and just try to keep all that shit separate. These two, on the other hand, were just like, nah, let loose, putting big fucking red targets right on their assholes, dead center. It's like, dude, why? Like, just fucking stop with all this shit. And who gained anything out of it? Meme pages.
Yeah.
That was it. That's the only people who gained anything out of it. Memes for days.
It seriously did feel like a TV drama thing, because it was so ridiculous. And the best thing that I saw come from it was, I guess, his soon-to-be ex-wife put out a thing, and it was like, he's been cheating on me with this woman for like 6 months, and on Pro Jared's tweet, apparently the woman he was cheating with commented like, if you need anything, I'm here for you, like, you were very brave putting out this statement. And I think my girlfriend pointed out to me, like, somebody quoted her and was like, this cross-eyed queen really tweeting about this bullshit.
Dude, the very first post that he had said was, and this was after all that shit went public, so the very first thing that he posts, and it's like, I forget, like 24, 48 hours, some shit like that. He posted that he won't be attending this Dungeons and Dragons like thing, and
oh no,
yeah, oh no.
I went in, and this was my one of two comments, and I know it's like, don't be proud of that, but I thought it was funny. He's like, oh, I won't be attending that, and I typed, I was like, would you change your mind if it was an all ages show? And I just left that, and I was like, just shucked and jived my way right off stage, just tilting my top hat as I went off, whirling the cane. It is like, it's both of them just kind of showed that they were both bad people. That's all that I really got from it.
Yeah,
it's like, you're both bad people, and it's a shame because there's a lot of people that look up to both of you, and seeing all that shit, and it's like, for some people out there, like, that's legitimately a mind fuck for them. Like, personally, a mind fuck. Like, even all jokes aside, there's ramifications beyond that for what it does to other people that you may not know personally, but for them, it feels like it was personal because they may have looked up to him or really liked him or whatever the case was. And it's like, he lost his actual badge on Twitter. I'm pretty sure Wizards of the Coast has now officially completely distanced themselves from him, and he got kicked off of normal boots. He lost tons and tons of subscribers, and it was just like, was all this stupid shit worth it?
Yeah. Like,
your weirdo insecurities that you need to, like, take up with trying to go and bed other people to satiate your fucking fragile, barely duct taped together ego, and at the expense of your marriage, friendships, no less, because you banged your friend's wife behind your... It just... it's fucking gross there. Easy way to describe it, just gross.
There was a couple things about it. The first thing for me was when, like, I saw that people were talking about it, I go, who the fuck is that guy? And then,
can I say, I saw, like, people were talking about it, and I saw, who the fuck is that guy? And I didn't bother looking at it. So I have no idea what you're talking about. Right
when I saw, like, a thumbnail that somebody made and his face was on it, I was like, oh, that guy. Because I had, like, seen his videos, his thumbnails for years, and I never clicked on them. Because, just, like, I still don't even really know what he did/does. His face told me that he was an angry video game nerd knockoff, which I don't know if that's true, but...
Yeah, he's, he does reviews. They definitely aren't, like AVGN. They're very dry. Lots of sarcasm and shit. I personally didn't really like them at all, and this isn't me just saying, I'm like, oh, you're just... Like, nah, they just weren't my thing. It wasn't even a knock against his content. Just, his personality didn't resonate with me, I guess. He has good taste in games, I'll say that. He has poor taste in life choices. So, but I know he did, like, the series called 1 Minute Reviews, and, like, it takes more than a minute just to talk about and review all the stupid shit you did within a couple days.
Oh!
Zing.
Let's take one more question, then we'll start wrapping it up. So, like, we got so many responses for questions for you, And so many of them were just, where did he go? Is he going to come back? So I'm glad we talked about that already.
Yeah.
But we've got here, this is another one from Gamer Mario 530, who says, if all video games were to vanish and you could save one, which one would it be?
Oh.
Only one.
My knee-jerk reaction for me is Pac-Man. Because I love Pac-Man, and I'm not very good at it, so I can always practice and try and get better.
I feel like it's got to be a game where you can replay it endlessly.
It's a hard one. It's a definite hard one to answer.
Man. Yeah, I'll just go with the first one that came to mind, because the more I think about it, the more I'm overwhelmed. I'll probably go with Symphony of the Night.
Good
because
choice.
I've played that game to death, and I don't get bored of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, like, I know, RPG Maker, because I'll just make my own games. Like, fuck it. But I think the RPG Maker games on console are so terrible to use now after actually using the program on PC. So, oh well.
Are you going to get Dreams?
Dreams?
Are you going to get Dreams on PS4? You can make your own game.
Oh, no. No, definitely no. Like, to me, I like the idea of games that let you just make content, and I think that's cool, like Super Mario Maker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the second one's coming out. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fucking hyped as shit for that. But it's like, I'd still rather just have regular Mario games.
Yep.
Than just that.
Mm-hmm.
But that satisfies, like, a certain part of my brain that's like, oh, I just love creating things, you know, for the complete hell of it. But it's there's a game that it's a shoot 'em up game that you kind of create everything in it, and nobody seems to remember it or know about it. It's called Blastworks, and it's on Nintendo Wii.
Okay, I've heard of it.
If anybody ever gets bored, look into that game. It's really good. It ain't gonna like change the way you look at gaming, but it's unique enough.
Yeah. What was your game that the one you would keep?
I mean, this isn't like, it's not like it's the best game or my favorite game, but I think like one of the MLB The Show games would be good.
Okay.
'Cause you could just keep playing those over and over again.
We didn't make the World Series this year, but next year. All the players age out and retire.
You're just playing as like Boiler Yard Murray and whatnot.
What do you want to talk about before we get out of here?
Man, that's a good question. Some interesting things. I'll mention some wrestling related things. Is there any standout wrestling shows that you've been to?
Yeah, this probably is not a standout, but the first one I ever went to was a SmackDown house show in 2004, right around Christmas. It was during the Holla 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 tour, because Teddy Long was the GM. And
tag team matches.
Oh yeah, there were plenty. I remember it was one of the few times that the Big Show used the F5, because he used that as a finisher for like 3 weeks, and then they just dropped it. I don't know if it was a fuck you to Lesnar because he was gone or what. But I remember...
That would be a horrifying move, because he's so fucking tall. It's like, okay,
I loved
you're
it.
Gonna fall at least 18 feet now.
Yeah.
So.
I thought it was great that he was using it for that reason. I remember driving to the show. It was me, my dad, my mom, and my friend Bobby Morrissey. And my mom was like, who do you want to see? And I was like, oh, I want to see The Undertaker or whatever. And then my dad goes, I want to see Tori Wilson with tits like this.
That's fantastic. So SmackDown house show. Was there any others?
Yeah, mostly just like I went to a TNA show in 2013, which was cool just because I got to see Sting live, which I hit a point in my life where I thought that was not going to be something I could do. But I did get to see Sting versus Austin Aries on a TNA show, which was interesting. But then outside of that, mostly
was it televised?
It was. It was an Impact in Chicago. That one was cool. Outside of that, 2 more, mostly just freelance wrestling shows, which is like an awesome Chicago indie. There's been a lot of great ones from them, and then a Ring of Honor show in 2005, or 7. It might have been 7. It was the night the Age of the Fall debuted, which was Jimmy Jacobs, Seth Rollins, aka Tyler Black, and then I think there was another one. It happened right after they did El Generico and Kevin Steen versus the Briscoe brothers in a ladder match. And it was dope because Jimmy Jacobs had one of the Briscoe brothers, he tied his feet up with the cable that they hang the belt from, and then he hung the Briscoe brother from the ceiling while the Briscoe brother bled all over him, and Jimmy Jacobs was wearing all white. So he's like cutting this promo about how they're the new force and his white clothing is just turning red as he's cutting this promo. And I was like, this is incredible.
That's amazing.
I was gonna say, man, that's a badass visual.
Yeah, it was amazing. I'll never forget it. It was fucking awesome. And right when the show started, like the pre-match, like the Age of the Fall made like a little run-in. But I didn't know what the fuck it was. There was a guy in all black, basically like Shield gear and a ski mask, who we found out later was Seth Rollins. But it was him and some woman ran through screaming, and I literally thought that it was like terrorists. I was like fucking scared. But what about you? What are your standouts?
I got to be at the Hell in a Cell where McFoley got thrown off the cage.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
It was here in Pittsburgh.
That's insane.
The only thing about it that made me sad was, like, my mom was in horrible health at that time. Like, she passed from cancer, and, like, her health was, like, in such shit. And she was just like, oh, I'm going to go to the show. And then she was just like, I just can't. Like, yeah. I physically just can't. So we ended up having to give the extra ticket to my sister's boyfriend who didn't like wrestling. Mm-hmm. So it's like, and it bummed me out. That's like historic moment like that. And somebody who's attending is like, I don't even like this shit. I'm literally the ride. But dude, when that happened, most of that night is a blur because I was so fucking young. Mm-hmm. But I remember distinctly when Foley went off the cage, everybody jumped up and it was just like, it was fucking like, a lot of the crowd was actually silent, and you wouldn't think that from when you watch it, because people were like, oh, but there's a lot of people who are like, oh my god, he's dead. And like, that's what we thought. Like, it's just, your heart stopped right there. She never saw shit like that.
No, fuck
and
no.
And we were like, oh my god, we just watched a guy die. And that's absolutely fucking scary as shit. And, you know, the crash test dummy known as Mick Foley, the man of 1,000 lives that he got from a genie, just kept on going. But I got to see that, so that was insane. And then, was it November to Remember 98?
Nice. ECW.
I went to a lot of ECW shows because they were always over here, like, all the fucking time. It was just, like, absolutely ridiculous. But I got to attend that, so that was kind of cool. I went to so many ECW house shows. What you said about Sting, actually, so when Sting was still in WCW, like, WCW never came to Pittsburgh, like, at all. And that's because, like, at the time, WWE and WCW would get to lay claim to certain arenas everywhere. And the biggest one that we had left here was the Palumbo Center. And it was, like, not that big. Mm-hmm. And not big enough to host Nitro in. Like, get the fuck out of here. They wouldn't even have Thunder there. Well, they had a house show there. And I was fucking marking out to see Sting. Because he was still doing the whole crow thing. And I was just like, oh my god, please come out, please come out. And he wasn't scheduled to actually be there. And where we were sitting, there was like, it was like a big thing of row seats. And then down below, there was like this little opening area. Sting came out right below us. Dude, I lost my shit. Like, prepubescent voice fucking cracking the entire time while I'm just like, like, sitting there screaming that Sting was there. And he just comes out, baseball bat, beats the shit out of everybody, stands tall. And I was just like, man, that was totally worth it. Like, absolutely worth it. So it was very, very cool. Those were some for me.
I was so happy that, like, he did eventually show up in WWE, and I was just so happy because it seemed like even the kids who were so young that this was kind of their first time seeing him, even those kids were like, yo, who's that guy? Yeah. Like, even the kids were like, this guy's dope.
I mean, they did some cool things presentation-wise. Mm-hmm. It's just that it was just horrible timing.
It was.
Like, Sting... Sting needed to be there so many years earlier.
Yep.
And it's just like all these missed opportunities, but when you see the majority of people who work for WCW and how it went over in WWE, it's like, even if he was there in his prime, would have been worth it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like pretty much how I end up thinking about it. It's like, man, it could be tarnished like way worse than how we remember it. And I hate the idea of thinking about it like how it is now. You know, some of the shit he did in TNA was fucking amazing.
Dude, so much of it.
I'm a fan of Joker Sting, and people shit on that all the time.
It was super fun.
Dude, I get it. And they're like, well, he's just being Jim Carrey. And I'm like, but it worked. It fucking totally worked. He was absolutely psychotic and, like, out of his mind. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I liked some of that shit. And I thought it was really cool because it was something, it was different. Like, they were keeping their characters alive. It's like Kurt Angle is known as being like, you know, the Olympic gold medalist from WWE, and I'm like, but all his best shit is in TNA.
A lot of it, yeah.
And that's like, I think like story segment wise, I think he had more highs in WWE just because I don't know, preference, I guess. But wrestling wise, no, his best matches by fucking far were in Impact.
Yeah.
And then some, and that's saying something because. Personally, he was actually at a low, like, in his own life. So that says a lot that he was, like, you know, able to perform at that kind of a level at that time.
There's, like, a lot of TNA, people forget how fucking good it was. Like, there was a time when TNA was on fire. Like, 2005 through, realistically, maybe 7. Like, you might be able to put 8 in there, but even like going up to like 2010, guys like Kurt Angle, Jeff Hardy showed up a little later, but a lot of guys were having great fucking matches. Even after like the Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels era, like WWE guys who left and went to TNA were just murdering it in TNA. It was a really fun time to be a fan. Like, whoever fucking thought you'd see a world title match between Kurt Angle and Jeff Hardy and it would be really good? Like,
dude, there was, like, I think that it's messed up that it gets shit on as much as it does, because I'm like, okay, so we're going to just, like, kind of foster all this hatred towards it for its lows. So I'm like, it has way more highs, though. Like, I mean, they're technical, like, the X Division or Cruiserweight Division, whatever you want to really go and call it, that stuff was doing shit that you just never saw before. Yep. And they were putting on fucking clinics.
Yeah, every time.
You had the whole broken Matt Hardy universe start there. And it kills me because I've never seen somebody get neutered so fucking bad. Yeah. And it's hilarious because it's like that entire thing is just the brainchild of Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and Matt Hardy's wife. Reby. Like, they were like the fucking brain wizards behind this shit. And they came up with something that was actually putting asses in seats and giving them views that were over 1 million. Yeah. And people were just like, oh yeah, who watches that shit? I'm like, dude, they're clearing 1 million fucking people watching simply because of this. And then they're like, let's do the Woken universe. I'm like, I have not seen such a fucking sad case of store-bought brand of any character at all, and that's exactly what it was. Like, it was depressing. That's all I got from it. I was just like, God damn, if the Great Depression could be a fucking wrestling angle, that's it.
It was like, they allowed him to do some weird stuff, like, oh, Jeff Hardy came out of the lake with white eyes. Like, that's about as weird as it got in WWE. Where in TNA was there, like, how did he win? Well, he threw a guy in a volcano, and then it shot him like 10,000 feet into the air.
Did that really happen?
Yeah.
The weird thing about it was, like, I remember watching all the shit, like, all the vignettes, all the fucking promos, the matches, and it was edited in such a way, it was really unique, really fucking different. And it also covers up a lot of, like, they're older, and honestly, they can't move like they used to. Yeah. They can still move, but again, not like they used to. This masks a lot of that and kind of turns into like a completely unique production that honestly was fresh.
Almost wasn't even wrestling.
It was barely wrestling.
Honestly, it was like watching an indie movie that was just absolutely out of fucking control. Like, people were just like, nah, man, let's fucking take a couple bong rips and see what we can come up with. And they produced this, and it was quality, but it was so fucking strange and weird when you showed it to the mainstream audience who's just used to choking down the bland WWE dick that they are getting all the time. Just like, that's just weird. I'm like, okay, did you watch? I don't get it. Like, I don't know how to explain some of this shit to people so that they understand, because it's like, either you do or you don't.
You just get it or you don't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like Tim and Eric.
It was one of those things, but I started showing it to, like, friends and family, and they're just like, dude, this is some of the best shit I've ever seen, and I don't even know what the fuck I watched.
It's just, you talk about the bland WWE product, and it's, the thing that I always say is, we should never be bored of Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler, but if you give it to us 14 fucking weeks in a row, it's like, okay, I don't want to watch this anymore. And dude, fucking TNA, the broken angle, like, what's happening now? Okay, well, Matt is trying to get Jeff prepared for their next match. What did he do? He brought him to the zoo, and he's going to make him box a kangaroo that is filled with the spirit of Smoker Joe Frazier.
What's weird about it is, like, they have no idea what to do with the best talent in the world. And they do. Like, right now, WWE, by a fucking mile, has the best roster, talent-wise. And a lot of these motherfuckers are capable of cutting promos, know what they're doing. That's why you hired them. Like, they're great in the ring, they're great on the mic, but they're handed this shit where it's like, okay, when you go into the ring, you gotta be safe. You can't do this or this or this or this. And you need to make sure to do this repetitive shit, because they think that the audience needs to be adjusted and needs to be groomed to just be used to this. Oh, they hit that move. I know that move. And it's got to be that same thing. It becomes so formulaic. Your eyes just glaze over. You're just like, man, I fucking saw... Like, there's no reason that there's 5 fucking hours of your programming per week, and I still see the same, like, 20 people.
Yep.
How the fuck do you do that? It makes no goddamn sense. And whenever you go and you listen to that John Moxley Talk is Jericho podcast, and it confirms all the shit that people are just like, oh man, we're going to run this through the rumor mill. Oh, that can't be that bad. And you have a top guy, not a guy, a top guy. Because they had already said this shit about Cody Rhodes, where they were just like, oh, he's just bitter because he didn't get the fucking push or whatever. And he went out there and proved everybody wrong, and got them to shut the fuck up except for the fanboys. And then Moxley comes along, says the same exact shit, but much, much more. And it's damaging. And it's like, you see NXT, and what Triple H's project has been able to go and produce, which has been AAA stuff. No pun intended, considering that there is a AAA promotion. But it's like, look at that. Clearly, there's a fucking problem. Like, this is shit, this is great, and it's under the same exact umbrella. Why? And it's... But I can admit I'm more excited because there's actual, like, competition coming. And, like, I was talking to my brother about it last night because he came over to go and borrow a couple movies, and we were talking about that. And he's just like, dude, we should really try to go to one of those shows. And, like, they sell out in a couple minutes. What does that say? Like, that's fucking amazing.
They're doing that one All Out that's going to be in Chicago, and I would kind of like to go. Like, I bought Double or Nothing literally because our friend Bree, she wrestles as Kylie Ray, was on the show. So we were like, I was like, oh, I want to get it because I want to see her on pay-per-view. But also, like, this is a fucking... They believe in something here, and they're presenting something new. I'm giving this money. Like, the amount of money I've thrown at WWE's shit over the years, I can give these guys $50.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that there was people complaining about the price of it, and I tried to explain to them, like, do you remember what pay-per-views had cost in the 90s?
Yeah.
Because some of them went upwards of 70.
Yeah.
And it was like, beyond that, that was a pay-per-view every single fucking month. There was no network at all. There was just buy the pay-per-view. That's it. And now it's like they already confirmed we're not going to do a pay-per-view every single month. So it's going to be every couple of months. And that's good because that means that you actually can go and book properly to build up to this shit to make it special.
It means more.
And it's, hey, what a coincidence. NXT does the same exact thing and is an infinitely better product than SmackDown and Raw combined has been for years.
I also think it shows you...
It's a shame because I keep seeing... I love that they say, oh yeah, we're calling people up. Like, you know, obviously trying to downplay the significance and importance of NXT. Oh, we're calling them up. I'm like, no, that's a fucking demotion. And it's putting somebody on death row because 9 times out of 10, they're mishandled and they look like shit.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. It's such a shame.
I think AEW doing pay-per-views every couple months also just shows you that they value you as a customer. And they don't just look at you as a fucking wallet. Because if they did, they'd be like, they'll pay for it. Like, with this, they're just like, well, we're new. Maybe they won't. But also, they're going to appreciate us not milking every dollar.
Right.
You know?
That's what Cody had even said. He was like, look, if we are asking for people to part with their money, we have to go and put on an excellent show. And we will. And the other thing about that most people don't get because people like to have opinions but never be informed is AEW didn't set the price of the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view company set the price of the pay-per-view, and it's either you do or you don't. And the only thing that they might have the option of, potentially, and this is like going around, is TNT, obviously being part of the AOL, Time Warner, whatever fuck, has tons of options for like streaming services and shit. If they can get the pay-per-views onto there, I mean, that right there is a lot easier and more accessible and a far better alternative because, like, me, for example, I don't have cable at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I have to go somewhere to go and watch that, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. But I want to support them. I want to throw money at, you know, whatever I possibly can to support it, whether it's live to buy merch or whatever the fuck. And if they get to do something like that, dude, it's a no-brainer. I'm just hoping that the rumors are right and then we are going to see CM Punk at All Out. Because
it would be amazing.
It's going to blow up, man.
I truly do not expect it to happen. I don't know if his heart... I don't think his heart is really in wrestling anymore. I also don't know him. So I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But...
I've heard him say so much stuff where he's just like, I'm just not into it. And that's because, like, WWE actually killed his interest in wrestling.
Yeah.
And that is saying a whole lot. That it's like, you got to the apex of your career, and the view sucked.
Yep. Really
fucking bad. And so much so that it made you just not want to do it anymore. You don't even want to hear about it. And that's disgusting. And then, you know, him going through the fucking lawsuits and shit, and essentially just having, like, a lot of his legacy be buried or even mocked due to, you know, politics and insecurities on behalf of people who obviously are running their own business into the fucking ground. It would be a good way for him to want to jump back in and actually, like, okay, I can go and stick it to you then. And look at it with fresh eyes. Moxley said he was ready to just quit.
Yep. And
just be done with it. And CM Punk did end up going to apparently more than one indie promotion with a mask on, doing a run and shit. I mean, if he ends up deciding, yeah, I'm going to do it, dude, even if he just shows up in, like, promo capacity, it's just the fact that the name recognition alone, that it'll just be all eyes. Even more so than they already have right now, which is significant considering how new they are, but it'll just be off the fucking charts. I'm hoping, but I'm also doubtful like you.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny that you bring up him running in at indie shows, because people heard about this one, like, a month or two ago, where he, like, gave the guy a GTS. But over, what was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah, at least.
2 years ago at a freelance wrestling show here in Chicago, he threw rice in his face.
It was salt.
Assault. It was Colt Cabana and like I think Kikutaro and some other guy, and they were doing something funny, and some like ninja guy in like a black hood and robe came out, just like moving
he was
weird.
Like throwing salt at Kikutaro's feet behind him as he walked, and then he was throwing it at the audience.
A week later, Matt Nix, who owns Freelance Wrestling, he was like, dude, that was Punk. And I was like, no, it wasn't. He goes, I swear to God that was Punk. But we weren't allowed to talk about it because he didn't want anybody to know. So he just did this last indie run-in, and people were like, oh, that's Punk. And we're like, yeah, we know. Like, we saw this shit a long time ago.
Whenever they talked about that, I was like, dude, that's fucking hilarious. The idea that that place would explode, then reassemble itself to just do it one more time, just from like the reaction, and it's like, oh yeah, you had no idea. Just it comes out doing his, like he looks like one of the fucking putties from Mighty Morphin Power, and does GTS on the exit.
It was. I would like to see him having fun again, because his UFC career didn't go the way he wanted it to, but he's fucking 40, trying to get in there against like the first kid is a killer. Mickey Gall is insane, so that was a bad idea. But he said going into it, just like, the only way I lose is if I don't do this in my life. Like, I want to do this, so fuck yeah, he went and did it. And if he would have fun coming back to wrestling, I'd love to watch it. I would love to watch him again.
I think that, like, one, I understand why he wouldn't want to do it. Like, I completely understand, just given the circumstances of everything. And it's a lot. It's a lot more than we could ever understand, but we can at least understand the tip of said iceberg. Yeah. But man, it's like, if this is going to be like the second coming of wrestling, being cool again, essentially, because it really hasn't been. You got New Japan Pro Wrestling that's like ever growing, despite the fact that they bled talent left and right. Yeah. And they continue to just have more, which has been great. ROH continues to be a presence, but it never hits like the mainstream. That's because they never get that prime time television spot, let alone like decent advertising. So it's like only the hardcore wrestling fans seem to give a shit. But AEW is the one with an actual budget behind it, an actual chance, and a fucking dude behind it that's an actual fan. Yeah. Not just I see this as a good business opportunity. I give a motherfucker in there who's an actual fan. When he started just rattling off things that he liked, things that he remembered, this wasn't shit he memorized. This is a motherfucker who went the distance, and he had seen, like, I think that these guys would know what they're doing, and I think we could actually do this. And I hate that some people mock it because they're like, yeah, well, I don't know who those people are, so they're nobodies. I'm like, but all the people in WWE were also in those same exact organizations, and they were nobodies, and you also mocked them until they showed up under the WWE banner, then suddenly you're okay with them. I mean, the fanboy flag flies super fucking high with you, but just take a moment to realize the hypocrisy of it all. Yeah. Like, just be a fan of wrestling, not of logos, not of brands, of wrestling, and support that shit.
I think one of the interesting things about Punk was I think it was just a couple months ago, someone did an interview with him. Might have been Ariel Helwani, the MMA journalist, and he was asked about wrestling, and he was like, honestly, Ariel, no one's made a real offer. He was like, people have been like, oh, it'd be cool if you popped in. He was like, that's not an offer. Like, if someone approached me with like a dollar amount and a date and a plan, he was, I wouldn't immediately say no. No one's done that. And so he said that, and then he said that he can't watch WWE because to him, like, wrestling isn't 4K and gigantic screens and all this, like, and light this over here, and no, take 75, we need it to be TV perfect. He's like, it's not wrestling to me. And when we were watching AEW, and it was just my girlfriend and I at first, when they showed the arena and it just kind of, it was a wrestling ring and a little stage, I was like, what does this look like to you? And I think we were both thinking, like, this is what Punk is talking about. Like, this is a wrestling ring. Then people are going to wrestle now. It was fun. I think they might actually make an offer to him. Who knows if he'll take it, but...
Well, Tony Khan had said in a couple interviews, straight up, he was just like, Punk was the first person that was on my... I want to get people on my list for who I want to have in this company. And if you can build a roster, like, the thing is, what most people don't realize is to build a roster, you need to get a couple of mainstream names that are very recognizable, and you have them. So they can go and be pillars here. Then you bring in all this fresh talent, all these fresh faces that nobody knows about, all these young guys and girls, and you put them out there and you get everybody adjusted to them. Like, I've already said flat out, MJF is going to be the next big fucking name. That dude, every time he's picked up a microphone, I'm like, God fucking damn, is he good. And his heel work is so good. Like, it reeks of, like, pure 80s wrestling.
Yep.
He straight up stays in fucking character, and it's like kayfabe alive and well. This dude is just the shit. And the Young Bucks do nothing but put on amazing... They put on such good matches that they are just a constant highlight reel. And it's actually fucking ridiculous. And you see some of these people that they're bringing in. I mean, now they've got Moxley. I'm like, we could have a legitimate, like, death matches and hardcore matches again. And there's people who will say, well, you know, blood isn't necessary. To them, I say, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Because
I'm not going to say every match needs to be gory and disgusting. I personally think that there's a certain point where it's too much and it's ridiculous. But I think that it helps in certain cases because it actually is the exclamation point on that match.
Cody versus Dustin.
Yeah. Dude, think about it like this. If somebody gets rattled over the fucking head with a chair and they don't bleed, then you're just like, well, what the fuck? And look, we suspend disbelief to be able to enjoy wrestling, which is absolutely fine. I'm not taking anything away from it. I don't mind because it's entertaining as shit, and I appreciate what's going on in the ring. But blood does help. I don't expect everybody to look like fucking Dustin Reynolds.
Yeah.
Or Dustin Rhodes, like, you know, after all is said and done, because he honestly looked like he was just like, I'm just going to give blood to the entire...
I felt like he was going to pass the fuck out.
Yeah, it was bad.
Dude, it was fucking gnarly as shit. Like, when I was looking, I was like, oh my god. But it made for such an intense moment because, one, you know who both of these guys are. You know that their history, you know that they're related and shit, and the small amount of buildup that they did to this shit, and this lets me know that the company is obviously in good hands, just from the promo that Dustin did and the promo that Cody did, and they're just online. That's it. They had 2 fucking videos separately. That was the buildup. That's it. And you go into this, and I'm like, how the fuck did you just do a better job of building this than WWE has been able to do for, like, virtually everything? And I'm glad that they don't treat the audience like they're complete, like, retarded bumblefucks. We're just like, you know, we know who they are. I hate whenever they call people up from NXT and they act like everything that they did didn't exist. And it's like, yeah, it's like they're brand new. No, they're not. Like, they don't do that. That's fucking dumb because then that gives people less reason to invest in NXT.
Yep.
And it's just like a disservice to the performer and the individual. It's just, it's so fucking dumb. But with this, I do, man. I want to see Punk show up. If he doesn't, I won't be heartbroken. But dude, the promo thing, I know that the little stars that he wears on his tights, granted, it's a fucking Chicago-related thing, but still, it's like the right city, the advertising and shit. They've openly expressed that they want him. And they've got the cash.
They do. They got a lot of money, which always helps.
Yeah, big time.
One of the worst parts about, like, I think it's the only bad thing you can say about the Cody-Dustin match is it just shows you that WWE had this the whole time.
I know.
And that WWE was going like, look, guys, it's not important. Like, we're going to focus on Braun and Roman and Seth because they're the main event. And you've got these 2 guys pitching this story, saying, we have this, let us do this. And they were going, no. It's, yeah. Like, they had this. This was...
I know.
They could have done this, and they didn't think it was important.
That's so much of their roster, though. And it's weird because I don't know how many times I've said, oh, man, I forgot they worked there. because there's somebody that they just pluck out from the back and they have them come out and job to whoever the fuck. And then they pull some 50-50 booking shit with like a bunch of the mid-card guys that should be top guys. And they just have them swapping wins and losses back and forth with absolutely no storyline.
Yep.
Like, they're not cutting promos, they're not doing shit. Then WWE.com and their YouTube channel will have, like, backstage shit where these people are kind of doing things that nobody's fucking seeing.
Yep.
You got, like, 1% of your audience that's checking that shit out, so that goes nowhere. And I still remember, because we're talking about Dustin, whenever he did I don't know if you guys remember, whenever he was doing the old school Goldust vignettes, just out of the blue, and they did this for a couple weeks, and I was like, oh my god, they're going to give him at least one more run. Give him the fucking IC title again just one more time, because it was such a fucking fresh, different character. Dropped. Out of nowhere, went nowhere, and I'm like, why the fuck do you do this all the time? You're like, hey, we're going to do it, and we're done.
I said that exact same thing. I was like, dude, they're going to give him the Intercontinental title. We're going to get a Goldust run, and then he literally, like, I think he had a couple matches with R-Truth, and then they just kind of sent him home.
Yeah.
Like,
and they were absolutely done. And I'm like, how the fuck do you mess up so much stuff?
Yep.
Like, it makes no sense. It kills me because it's like, you know, they introduced the 24/7 belt, which really looks like it should be on the side of like a 7-Eleven.
it's horrible.
And seeing the belt, beyond the fact that it's fucking ghastly looking,
What's it called?
is
The 24/7 belt.
yeah, basically the hardcore belt without the hardcore.
Yeah.
They have this belt, and there's people like, yeah, but the matches are fun. I'm like, stop. Do you want to know what happens with that belt? Everybody who is associated with it is proven to not ever be taken seriously for the rest of their career in WWE.
Yep.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. And I see this stuff, and it just makes me depressed because I'm very big on Elias. And I'm like,
I love
this dude
Elias.
is main event worthy through and through. And they do stupid shit where they're like, yeah, let's just make him lose constantly. I'm like, look at this guy.
Yep.
Like, he's the quintessential stud that you would put into wrestling. Like, the dude is jacked beyond fucking belief, has the look, is competent in the ring, and it oozes charisma. This is who the fuck you push.
Yep.
You're like, yeah, make him lose constantly, and then the one thing he excels at, have him cut off all the time and just make that a thing with no fucking payoff. Like, he's gonna sing a song, and then they stop it, and somebody comes out and interrupts him, haha, and then no follow-through. I'm like, why?
Elias and Rusev are like my two biggest examples of these guys got so over. They're so fucking good. They didn't need you to get over. And someone in the office is going, I don't want that. And so they turn them face, then heel, then face, then heel to confuse the fans enough that they stop caring. And it's like, you fuckers, man.
They turn people face and heel so often, sometimes in mid-promo. Alexa Bliss is a prime example of somebody who... She should never be turned face because she's trash as a face. All you have to do is see her in NXT, and she's even gone on record saying, did not work, will not work, that's not me. Charlotte is another example. Can you really fucking sell her as a... No, you can't. Like, Ric Flair was never a good face. At all.
Yeah.
Ric Flair was always supposed to be an asshole, and a fucking narcissist, and a dick, but a winner. And that was the thing. And I hate the idea that they have this tried and true thing of, it's like, okay, we're going to make certain that all the bad guys are the chicken shit ones who constantly run and lose unless they cheat. And the good guys just come out and smile, a.k.a. Finn Balor's entire fucking career in WWE. Like, that's it. Your personality is so fucking bland. You have nothing to work with. And the most that they get is, like, that snarky response where they might as well follow through with the, ha-ha. That's it. They're just missing that. And it's like, man, I fucking hate it because it's like, somebody recently, I forgot who it was, but they were, like, a relatively big name. Oh, no. It was Al Snow. That was it. Al Snow had an interview recently with someone, and he'd said that currently right now, WWE's biggest problem with the roster isn't the talent, because the talent is obviously there. It's the fact that behind the scenes, they want to present them in a certain light, but none of them can actually be described to anybody, let alone as unique, because they're interchangeable.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue that they spout, even the things that they do in the ring, is interchangeable. And it's like, you're all blank slates, and you're not even a part of the machine.
Yeah.
Like, and it sucks so bad, because he's like, look at the Attitude Era. And I know everybody brings it up as a fucking example, but just saying, like, you pick out anybody from there you can describe as a character with one sentence. That's it. Now, how do you describe, like, who's Rusev? Well, he's Russian. Oh, okay. He's the Bulgarian Brute. That's just a name.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what he is. Well, he comes out with Lana. Okay, what is she? Well, we don't know because we keep changing our mind. And that's all. And it's like, what's Sami Zayn? Well, Sami Zayn is not allowed at a Super Showdown. Yeah. Or women, for that matter. And, yeah. And Sami Zayn is just a mouthpiece for Vince McMahon right now. Yeah, cool. But what is his gimmick? What's his personality? Nobody knows.
Uh-huh.
You can't describe it. And it sucks, because it's like, you want to like the product. It's just they don't want you to.
Yeah. And I've, like, a long time ago, I realized that I couldn't do it anymore, so I just stopped watching. I'll tune in for the Rumble and WrestleMania, but other than that, I'm not gonna bother. Like, I can't do it. And you couldn't even get through WrestleMania. Neither could my girlfriend.
I did get through it, but
yeah, my girlfriend left. She was like, "I'm done."
I left the last one.
Yeah.
The one before that. But yeah, through the skin of my teeth, I watched it.
Dude, it's like 15 hours long.
That's what I was screaming about. I was losing my fucking mind.
You were like, "I have to work in the morning."
It was weird, because I don't think they understand. Like, there's too much of your product out there.
Mm-hmm.
And to some people, that sounds weird. And it's like, what do you mean? Too much is a bad thing? I'm like, it is. Because nobody can devote that many... Like, Raw is 3 hours, and it feels like 10.
Yeah.
And somehow they get less done with that than most people get done with, like, half an hour.
We used to do a show years ago called WWE Raw Talks Live. It was before WWE started doing a show called Raw Talk, so we were first.
Yeah, they stole our name.
So we would watch Raw, and then we would just live stream and, like, talk about the show, review the show. But it got to the point where we didn't want to do it so bad that we would still, like, get together and watch Raw, and then we would start the stream, and it would be like, I don't really want to talk about wrestling. And we would just basically just do a freeform podcast,
pretty much,
called WWE Raw Talks Live. Because the product was so bad, it's like, I don't care. I don't want to talk about this. And then eventually we just stopped doing the show.
One thing you were talking about with the flipping, like, people heel face so often,
mm-hmm.
What I noticed is, like, there's rarely ever motivation for them to flip either.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good guy, and then, well, now he's a bad guy. Why?
I don't know.
Because
it just shows that, like, their booking has no idea what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, we're just moving things around. Why? And that's all. And I hate it, because, like, the roles for things get thrown out all the time, as if the audience is stupid. And they change the characters so often, and they drop storylines, and then they'll start up completely brand new ones, again, with no motivation and no resolution. So there's no reason for all of this stuff to have just stopped, and anybody who was invested just gets to sit there and be like, wow, these balls, they're so blue.
Yeah.
And I am too. It's like, it's so fucking painful. Like, even people I know that wrestling is their life, they're eventually just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I check in from time to time. That's terrible.
That's me. I was balls deep, and, like, now, if people ask me if I'm a wrestling fan, I don't want to say no, because I have such a strong connection to it through my childhood.
I would still say you are.
Yeah, so I would.
You're not a WWE fan.
I just say I'm a lapsed fan. You know, like, I'll pop in on a website. I know what's happening, but I don't watch it. Mm-hmm. Like, I know who the champs are, but I'm not watching it.
I keep up more from social media and YouTube than anything, because it's like, if I want to watch Raw or SmackDown, I've got the Hulu app on my TV in the living room, and I watch that. The downside to it is the version that they put on there cuts a bunch of content.
Yeah.
And I never know why. So then I have to go to their YouTube channel and then double back and see, okay, what did I miss exactly? And typically it's not like end of the world type shit, but some of the stuff has been. And I'm like, I don't know, I even doing that, I was like, man, this just isn't worth it. Like,
no,
even fast forwarding was just like, oh, this is such a chore. Jesus Christ, 10 times speed, and I still can't find shit. So fucking terrible. But I mean, I'm just hoping that with wrestling, like the landscape itself changing, I'm hoping that this just puts a fire under their asses, because I want to be able to enjoy everything. And again, I keep up on it, and obviously, like, we obviously know a lot because we've sat here fucking talking about it as much as we have. But the one common factor amidst all this is, man, WWE is kind of shit right now. I wish it wasn't.
Yep.
And that's all. And it's not like these are isolated opinions. Like, I don't know anybody who watches and goes, wow, I loved everything and all, without medication being involved whatsoever. And even then, I'm expecting a suicide note at the end.
Yeah, the
problem is people still watch it and still go to the show.
They
and
do
buy the pay-per-view.
They watch it and they go, but the ratings are shithole. Like, the ratings have never been worse than they are. So, but nothing's changing though. So what the fuck does it matter?
Oh no, things are changing. The wild card rule.
Oh, you're right.
So since we couldn't actually do a proper version of the Superstar shakeup because they literally didn't. They just randomly would announce, this wrestler is on this show now, and then they showed up on the other show instead. And we're like, we don't know. And it was lasting for weeks. Before, when they first did it, they had a fucking podium, and they would announce, this person's here,
that was
this
the best.
Person's here. It actually led to storylines and shit. This time, no.
Yep.
They were just throwing shit at the wall, and they're like, I hope it sticks. Nope, that one ran. Okay, let's do it again. And no matter the amount of curveballs and knuckleballs and sinkers that you throw with shit cupped firmly in your fucking palm, it's still shit. And none of it's going to be a home run. It's just a mess. And that's kind of what it is. Now, even with the wild card rule, the wild card rule is just, okay, well, Roman Reigns is constantly going to be on every single show.
Yeah.
This dude came back from a fucking leukemia thing that is scary as shit for anybody to obviously go through, and has already made it so that people fucking hate him again.
Because they did him no favors. He's doing the same shit.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for him. Like, his wallet is probably looking really good, but they have done him zero favors.
That's not what you want. Like, when you get into the business, like...
Dude, I've booed him, like, to the point that it's like I become hoarse.
Yeah.
And it's not because of the man himself. Like, I know that Roman can cut a promo if he was actually just handed a microphone, but like, go for it, man. Roman's got the look. He's a competent wrestler. It's not like he's bad in the ring.
Yeah.
It's just they tell him, oh no, you gotta go and use these.
Yep.
Use these moves. Those are your moves. The big dog, Roman Reigns. Like, it's all such corny, cheeseball, succotash shit. And that's what they've given him, is shit to work with.
Yeah.
And he's just like, okay, and it doesn't work. Well, no fucking duh. And you force him down everybody's throats, and then when somebody's getting over, like you mentioned, Rusev, has naturally been over the entire fucking time that he's shown up. He's been over. And they're like, and no. And no. Like, why? Like, why are you angry that anybody is drawing eyes to your product?
It really doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It's like, I hate it because I'm like, how the fuck are you mad that anybody is over at all? Because for the most part, the people that you are pushing the most against the will of the audience, you're just like, yeah, well, you're going to like it because that's who I picked. I'm like, how are you winning anything by doing this? because the ratings do not reflect that. The amount of seats that are empty, and you have to go and force everybody to fucking camera side so that your show doesn't end up looking embarrassing, despite the fact that people take pictures of inside the arena to show up. They had to go and tarp off all these seats here and these seats over here, and they turned off these lights. I'm like, are you feeling good yet? And now Fox told them, you need to bring in 3 million views per show minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I think SmackDown recently just did 1.8 or 1.9.
Yep.
And, like, what are you going to do? How do you explain this to anybody? I've had motherfuckers actually tell me, well, TV ratings don't matter. They have the network. Like, okay, well... And I've gotten into arguments with people about this. I'm like, since you know everything, let's run some numbers, because the network has stopped at 1.6 million.
Mm-hmm.
It literally fucking flatlined like half a year ago, and it is halted and it hasn't moved at all. So even if we combine that number with their total views that they're getting on there, even at $9.99, and trust me, that's all the fuck they're getting out of your pocket per month. If we go and do that math compared to what they're actually getting from all their sponsors and the fucking advertisers and shit, let alone the investors, it's not adding up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not nearly as good as what they were pulling in before when they peaked at around 10 million at their peak. Like, are you fucking joking me? Like, and they've lied to some of the people by saying, oh yeah, no, Raw and SmackDown, those are completely separate audiences.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to combine those total views together. That's actually our entire audience. They actually have said this shit.
Well, it's like the
that's
same...
against the fucking law.
It's like the fans that say, when someone takes a photo of like a half-empty arena, and they're like, dude, it's before the show started. And it's like, no, it's not. Like,
yeah.
Do you work there? Like, why are you defending them so hard?
Dude, I have people say that, and I was just like, oh, is it? That's cool. So since that's before people showed up or after the arena was emptying out, why is it that this was during one of the segments right here that was at the 45-minute mark of the first hour?
That's insane.
That's odd. Gosh. Like, and... whenever that's pointed out, fuck you doing the big dog. It's like, anytime I try to explain this shit, I'm like, look, dude, like, WWE has always been, like, my main go-to. I don't want to hate them. I just hate what it's become.
Yeah.
Like, I want it to be good again. I honestly would rather, like, Raw and SmackDown disappear and it just becomes NXT. Whoever the fuck they have working on all this shit, gone. Just make that the main thing, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely fine. It's... God, even now, it's embarrassing because they have that third hour thing, and they're like, oh, now it's really Raw or something, guys. Oh, you know, because, like, we're going to do some more, like, I guess, like, TV 14 things. Let's do the electric chair segment. Okay, well, we're going to filter all these questions first and make sure that they're allowed to be asked. Isn't that edgy? Anyone?
How they think that that's a good idea. Like, have you heard about this? The third hour of Raw, it's like, it's extra Raw.
Okay.
And what that means is the logo goes black instead of white. They turn off a couple of the screens, and like the screens that are built into the ring post, they turn those off. And the crowd, how it's lit red, they turn that off. So it looks more Raw. The third hour of the show is this now.
And that's all it is?
That's all it is. And Vince McMahon, in his head, probably thinks that, like, it's revolutionary, where really it's just confusing. It's like, did the fucking power go out? Like, the show didn't
That is, like, the
change.
most manufactured, like, let's make it look shittier. Because, like, that's what...
Yeah, they have it in their head that they're like, well, the aesthetics are different. So they'll think that it's somehow new.
Yeah. It's just confusing.
It's not. You haven't done anything.
Oh
like,
my God.
If anything, it seems like the people who run the arena just forgot you were there.
Yeah. It's
like that's really all that it comes across as. Like, the things that fuck me up, I'm like, why don't you have two entirely different teams working for Raw and SmackDown? And why don't you have completely different looks for the shows? Like, actually make them separate brands. Like, emphasize the fact that it's supposed to be competition. They don't. When they would, it'd be during the pay-per-views when they're like, Raw and SmackDown go head-to-head. And it's like, yeah, you only emphasized this 3 weeks ago, up to a build-up that had absolutely no fucking payoff, and then long-term had nothing else going on until you do it again for all that stuff. I'm like, you're just so fucking stupid, and I don't get it, because you are a billion-dollar company. And now you have Vince McMahon, who his bread and butter is suffering a whole bunch, and he's like, I'll sell 30% of my own shares to fund the XFL. Who the fuck asked for that? I don't even like sports, and I know not a single motherfucker went, man, I really want an alternative here in the United States to the National Football League. That's really going to be a fucking... No.
No, it's going to shit the bed again. It already proved that it shits the bed.
I'll watch it.
Dude, what kills me about it is it's literally remembered for being a failure.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, that's why he wants to do it again.
Nothing else people remember XFL for other than being like, remember that time? That's it. That's where the fucking conversation goes. And there's never like, oh, you remember this one player? You remember this one team? Oh, what about that one game? No. I don't know anybody who can even recall any of that shit. Like, at all.
It being a failure is why Vince wants to do it again, so he can make you forget. I think if he can get one season out of it, he might just close it down. Because then it's like, okay, we did it.
Dude,
you know?
The dude has got an inferiority complex that's so fucking big. He doesn't have to inflate the numbers of his own fucking shows. He could just stick his goddamn ego in there and just be like, look, every single seat filled.
Yeah.
It's because he failed at something, and he failed bad. And there was no debating it. There was no arguing it. It was a fucking laughingstock. This time around, he's like, oh no, I can fucking do this. I will absolutely do this, and I'll show you, all you naysayers. And because he's got all this extra cash, he's like, oh yeah, I'll go and do it again. We'll be extra serious this time. It's like, it ain't gonna work, man.
No.
Like, it's not going to. And I don't say this as being dismissive or being ignorant to the entire sport in general. It's like, the only alternative that there's been to the NFL in the eyes of fans, and when I say alternative, I just mean the other, is the NCAA. And that's it. And it's fucking college.
Well, they did a different football league here recently, the AAFL or the AAF?
The AAF, the American Alliance of Football or something like that?
Did it even make a season?
No, it got shut. It went bankrupt like halfway through, and it wasn't even a competitor. They must have had a deal with the NFL because they were airing games on the NFL Network.
Yeah.
So like they were partnered with them. They were on like major channels and major networks, and it still didn't work. Like, what is the XFL gonna do when it's like an actual competitor, and the NFL is gonna want to like. You know, they're not going to support that.
No, it's something where they're trying to provide an alternative to something where there's no demand for it. And it's important to provide an alternative whenever the market is open and there's space for it. This is something where there is an absolute monopoly because it's just recognized as that. People don't give a shit about anything but the NBA when it comes to basketball. People don't give a fuck about anything in baseball except for MLB. And hockey and NHL. There's nothing else other than these fucking brands, according to everybody else out there that pays attention to it. Are there alternatives? Are there options? Yeah, and they're looked at as bush leagues, minor leagues, and jokes. And this will be viewed as that and then some. And he's pouring even more money into it this time around. Like, that whole meme of, you didn't learn your lesson the first time, old man. Same thing. Fucking apply that here.
Vince McMahon being attached to it, I think, is the biggest detriment.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, the XFL already failed. Like, it failed bad. Vince McMahon is known as the wrestling guy. And I feel like the XFL is catered mostly to they're trying to get wrestling fans to watch football.
That's what it was the first time.
Yeah. Well, I can only imagine football fans, like he was just saying, they want to watch the fucking Super Bowl. They don't want to watch these jabronis play fucking XFL.
You know what it's going to be viewed as by a lot of people, too? And this never even comes to mind, but, I mean, this is the first thing that'll jump into any sports fan's head is if you are in the XFL, that means that you couldn't cut it in the NFL.
Yep.
Yeah.
You are always going to be the bargain basement sports player, regardless of your talent. And you'll always wish, man, I wish I could have gotten into the NFL. And they've said shit like, oh, well, we guarantee them to have contracts of this amount of money. I don't give a fuck how much the players are making. Mm-hmm. That means absolutely diddly dick to me because, like, that just means that you're throwing more money at people that couldn't hack it. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what the fuck it says to most people. They're just like, oh, okay, so you're an overpaid second string. Wow.
Fourth string, because the second string and the third string and the fourth string are still in the NFL.
Yeah. All right. So right now it's just like, all right. So you're how many hands am I holding up? All right, string. There you go. Bam. It's fucking painful, and it's weirder to think about because it's like, dude, your main thing is suffering bad, and it's bleeding bad. You're not even trying to go over and like put a cork in that fucking wound. You're just like, no, that's cool, man. We'll just nothing. I was gonna say push him into the corner, but we'll just say, it's art. But it's such a fucking... Oh, wait, no. This is WWE. We can't have the blood. I don't know. Turn the lights down. It's raw.
It's raw.
Yeah.
On the third hour of the XFL, you have to turn off your TV. Imagine what the end was.
Oh, you think they get to the third hour. Oh, you... It's so fucking weird just to, like, think about some of this shit. I'm just like... I can't wrap my head around it, but it's like I keep up so much on wrestling, and the idea that right now there's for example, Luke Harper just was like, I want out of my contract, please let me out. And they're like, how about no, and we add a bunch of extension time onto it so you just sit at home.
This is the thing that happened.
There's people who would, like, try defending him, like, yeah, but he at least gets money to sit at home. That sounds like a dream job. I'm like, are you fucking stupid? Mm-hmm. Like, the dude said, I'm a wrestler, I want to wrestle, I'm not being utilized here, it fucking sucks here, and I don't have much time left to be in my prime. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, it's not like he's 20. He's not. And the dude's incredible, he's loved backstage. Mm-hmm. Fucking loved. Like, the boys... love him. And to see this, all this says is not only are you fucking scared shitless of him succeeding elsewhere, you are scared shitless of what others could do with him.
Yep.
Showing that you know that you fucked up. You chose to fuck up. And now you are so fucking pathetic that you decide, oh yeah, we're just going to add extension time on. This sends a message to everybody. It's either to scare them or they're just like, I'm just going to quietly ride my fucking contract out and I'm out. I'm absolutely out. Because if they're treating people like this, obviously you're not a valuable commodity. You're not even a fucking commodity. You're a fucking doorstop.
Yeah.
At best.
The Luke Harper one is a heartbreaker because that guy is so fucking good. And, like, he wasn't even an asshole about it. He, like, put a thing out on his Twitter, like, this whole written statement, how he was just like, I owe a lot to this company, and I was able to perform on the highest platform, and I know what I have to offer, and at this point, I think I need to offer it somewhere else. So I'm going to respectfully, I have requested my release, and then just nothing. And WWE, what he was talking about was they tacked on, like, 6 months to his contract.
How could they legally do that?
Because he was injured and he had a surgery. Oh. Which they would not do that to him if he did not ask for his release. So, like, this guy who's so fucking good and all he wants is to show you how good he is. And they're like, but we have Roman Reigns.
And they're not even using him.
No, they haven't used him in months. They had him on, like, an indie show before WrestleMania.
They brought him back technically on television. Keep in mind, he was gone for a long while. Mm-hmm. And he came back in great fucking shape. They put him into the Battle Royal without any kind of fanfare. Mm-hmm. It was just, he was just another fucking face in the crowd. And it's not like he's an isolated incident. He's literally just one of many because They have so many fucking people. They have so many. They're just hoarding them because they're like, I have all these toys and you can't have any.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's like, I have a collection of talent and nobody else has them. I'm number one. Fuck you. Look what I have. Like, you don't have these guys. It's fucking Moxley even said, he was just like, Brock Lesnar's ruining that company along with many other people, and he keeps on doing it because they're willing to pay him so Vince can say, yeah, well, I've got Brock Lesnar and you don't. Ha ha, look at that. I paid him the big bucks. Can you afford to do that? No, because that's it. It's the saddest fucking dick measuring contest that I've ever seen with people with micro dicks. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, and that's all it is. I'm like, this isn't a fucking wrestling industry under this company's fucking branding. It's a circus. And it's a fucking circus of one who just so happens to be able to have the final say-so. And it's horrible. I'm like, dude, they need to let go of like 20% of their wrestlers because they won't use them. The fucking Colognes still wrestle there.
Who the fuck? Wait, are those the dollar store Carlitos?
Yeah. They still are employed. Mike and Maria Kanellis still work for that company.
Jeez.
They're so good.
Huh?
They're so good, too. And
they're fucking amazing. Absolutely amazing. Both of them are incredible on the mic. Mm-hmm. And Mike is incredible in the ring, and they're so good together. Like, Maria Kanellis is fucking eye candy and then some. Mm-hmm. But it's nice to see whenever you can take two people and get a proper valet or, like, manager or whatever, and it just works. And it's like WWE hates tag teams, they hate managers, they hate cruiserweight divisions. And I'm like, these are all important aspects of wrestling, and it's like you despise them. And you do everything that you possibly can to, like, distance yourself from them or downplay them to the point that we're supposed to view them as being a joke.
Yep.
And they do this with their own talent, and it's like, people are sitting in the back. Like, they have to travel. Many of them pay for their own gas, pay for their own hotels. This stuff doesn't get brought up at all. But the few guys who have come forward and said, like, they're paying for their own gas, they're paying for their own hotels, and they show up to sit in the fucking back. That's it. Yep. And they have to be there, and that's it. And it's like, oh, well, why? Because. But I'm not on television. You don't have me in any matches for any of your house shows. I'm just here to exist for no reason. They're like, well, we might use you, so we need you. That's it. That's your job, to just be there. That's it. And it's like you're hanging out in fucking catering.
Sounds like some mob shit.
Imagine that. Oh man, it's fucking painful, dude. I just can't imagine like wrestling my whole life, thinking that I finally made it to the big time, getting paid jack shit, and I just sit in the back.
Yeah.
And your stock fucking drops, according to everybody, and you have to make a name for yourself again by leaving. Because you've been forgotten. That's a shame.
That makes me feel bad for guys like Drew McIntyre, who he was good, and then they released him. And then he went around and he did all this cool shit with TNA and a bunch of other places, and he came back, and now he's super dope, and his look is amazing, and he's kind of just one of the guys again. Mm-hmm. And it's like he's a peg higher than he was before, but it's like, dude, that guy could be he could be the face. Mm-hmm. You know? He could be the guy.
Everybody has wanted that from Drew. And Drew is, somebody who is the total package. Mm-hmm. He's somebody you put a fucking belt on immediately.
Yep.
And not only is he deserving of it, not only do fans want to see that happen, but it's like, what do? You just keep putting him with all these randoms. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like, he's clearly not designed to just be playing second fiddle to a single motherfucker at all, but you have him as one of Shane McMahon's fucking cronies.
Yep.
Who the fuck had that idea? And it's like he just comes out there and he's like, I'm just going to stand here, never utter a word. Like, you look like you're an idiot now.
Yeah.
Because you're just following this asshole around. And before that, he was just like, yep, I'm in the mid-card of evil. Like, why? Yeah, I'm playing second fiddle to Baron fucking Corbin.
Who could not be more fucking boring. Meanwhile, fucking Drew McIntyre is standing there, this gigantic, beautiful hunk of a chiseled man but he's not allowed to say anything with his awesome accent. They don't put a fucking belt on him. That guy could take the fucking belt and go on the Tonight Show, and people who are not even wrestling fans and women are going to be like, who's this guy? Like, this guy wrestles with his shirt off? Like,
the dude not only has the fucking look, but he's got the actual mainstream appeal. If you just let him go out there and fucking decimate people. And he's easily somebody to do that. And here's the things that will happen inevitably, and it's happened to a lot of the roster. Look at Braun Strowman. That dude, 2017, needed to have the fucking belt put on him. They didn't pull the fucking trigger, and then they cooled him off. Then they started pushing him again and got a lot less reactions. Cooled him off, did it again, even less. It is basically flatlined to this point, and they can't do shit with him. And they've done this with so many people out there that eventually it's like, you won't create stars. And that's why with your fucking Saudi shows, you're bringing out all the old guard, paying them buku bucks, because those are the only stars that you have made. The last star they made was John Cena. That's the actual last star. And there are people like, well, no, what about, I'm like, no. Wrestling fans know who this person is. I'm talking about the fucking mainstream
That's
people.
so true.
And John Cena was the last one. And guess what? John Cena's time is well over.
And he knows, and that's why he started transitioning to movies.
He needed to. There was not... What else is there for him to do? Nothing. Like, John Cena did everything that he possibly could. He paid his dues. He became the top guy. You know, he became over-fucking exposed in a lot of ways and boring. But he was the man, and he was all reliable.
Yeah, I mean, you think about, like, everybody knows who John Cena is. Everybody knows who Hulk Hogan is, who Macho Man is. All these, like, stars, like, everybody knows who these guys are. Nobody fucking knows. And, like, if you're not, a hardcore wrestling fan, nobody knows a single wrestler.
It's true.
A single one.
It's depressing because, like, they want to push Roman Reigns, and they've been trying to push him as the guy. And here's the thing. If you look at how WWE typically operates, it's whenever they decide that they're going to push somebody, they will. And if they don't automatically catch on fire and become trending in the next big thing, the couple minutes that you gave them with television time, they just get bored with you, and you're relegated to the back of the line suddenly. With Roman Reigns, they were pushing it well before he needed to be pushed. And the shit that they gave him was not working. But they kept doing it anyway. There's no reason that he headlined WrestleMania 3 fucking times in a row to a chorus of boos and indifference. And that's bad.
It's really
That's
bad.
really fucking bad. That's the type of shit, like, when people become... Boos are one thing. You at least got a reaction. Indifference is when people start changing the channel and stop showing up. And that's what they've done with their fucking product. And they refuse to create stars because they don't believe in their own talent. And their talent is interchangeable. Who are you? Like, look at the women's roster. How many of them are unique? Like, in terms of, like, character? None of them, really. It's like, and it's a shame. Like, that's seriously a shame. Like, Becky Lynch is one of the only decent examples of them trying. And even then, they should have put the belt on her sooner. They started adding in, like, we'll put in Charlotte Flair. Like, why? Why did you do that? It was a great match. But it wasn't needed. People wanted to see the culmination of that feud, and that was it. And instead, they kept tinkering with it. And they were like, no, we need to fix it. Becky is now banned from the company. Oh, we're stripping her of this. She's not allowed to... It's like, they kept doing stupid shit that didn't add to it. It just became muddled.
It was. I think that was one of the things that Ambrose / Moxley said on the Jericho podcast that made a lot of sense was they have something that should have been so easy, like Becky Ronda, and then they did all the skits and she's banned, all that stuff you were just talking about. And he was like, I feel like it's just all the writers, all of them are trying to justify why they have a job. Like, no, but I added this, you know? Like, but then they sat down with Kevin Owens. I did that. I'm the one who put him with Kevin Owens. And it's like, what the fuck were they doing in there with Kevin Owens? Why didn't you give Kevin Owens something to do? Like,
Kevin Owens is actually another example. That dude was gone for quite a while. He came back. They had him as a good guy. And anybody knows Kevin Owens is never, ever a face at all. It doesn't matter. Like, you can cheer for the bad guys. It's fine. But you can't present them as a good guy just because people like the bad guy. It doesn't work that way, because now you have to change the dynamic of their character. You have to change their motivation. You have to change the way that they do everything. And then they were just like, yeah, he's replacing these people. Now he's in this. Now he's a bad guy. We don't know why. We didn't say. No explanation. And I don't know. It's a shame. And I feel bad because I know that anybody who's listening right now is like, holy fuck, WWE sucks. But I mean, what can you do? It's been going downhill for a long, long time. And it's not like this is new. It's just, I think, the culmination.
Mm-hmm. I think that 10 out of 10 promo was the culmination of this podcast. I think that's a great place to wind this up. And I want to know what you got coming up. What do you want to promote right now?
I don't know how. I always feel weird promoting. I don't know. I'll be on YouTube, so just youtube.com/AlphaOmegaSin. Yeah, I'm easily recognizable. I'm the one who looks like I would sell you drugs and or kill you. Let's see. Social media, same exact thing, namely Twitter, because I'm on there all the fucking time. Beyond that, I guess just be on the lookout for vidges. There aren't any right now, but they are being made as I currently speak. So, and hopefully more content with this lovely motherfucker here. So, yeah.
Let's do it. I think we're both very happy that we had you on. And if you're willing, let's definitely do it again sometime soon.
Yes, absolutely. I look forward to it.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's do it again soon. Until then, we love you and we'll see you next time.